Hold on.
Hey, how are you?
Record.
Hi, guys.
He recognizes me always.
Okay, let's start our accountability. So I will call on you one by one, and you'll unmute yourself and share how many contacts you've made. If you've gone on any appointments or written any contracts, you can share that as well. And Trevor, you want to get us started?
Yeah, so I've put in a total of 14 contacts. It's basically just close family so far. I'm still working on trying to get some of my close friends like emails and phone numbers. I have their phone numbers, but I'm just trying to get all their phone number or all their emails together so I can put it. But it's hard to contact them all. They don't all reply right away. So
Excellent, great job. Amy?
10 yesterday and 10 today. And then I have a meeting scheduled with a good friend who is also a loan officer and an appointment with somebody who's ready to buy.
Awesome, amazing, great job.
Thank you.
Julie, great to see you on.
Good to see you too. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, so I did 3 contacts so far today, and I'm showing a house later today for a
Awesome.
buyer.
Abby?
I snuck in 3 contacts in the 15 minutes since I've talked to you. And I have one more who's sending me their email, so I'll have 4. And yeah, my only client is driving me crazy. So hopefully we'll go on an appointment again soon, but he's had a man cold, so it's been rough.
Got it. Stella?
Hello, everybody. So today I got 8 contacts to my contact database. I've called an architect I've been working with in the past, and he's a local Portland architect. We exchanged information. And I also plan to reach out to my friends who are insurance agents, and we will be exchanging business. So they're
Awesome.
all part of my 8 contacts.
Good, great job. Deanna?
I added 9 contacts today, and then I also had reached out to a local guy that does insurance, and my husband knew him for a long time. So, and then we have friends that are mortgage brokers. So, and then my daughter is looking to buy a house. So that's a nice thing.
Awesome, great. Nessa?
Are you wanting to know the contacts we got today or just how many we have like in general?
Just today.
Oh, today I've got 4.
Excellent. Irina?
Hi. So I went to coffee with a friend of mine who's throwing around the idea of selling. So just kind of talked to her about that. And then I was able to add 4 contacts and write notes to my 7 from yesterday.
Awesome, great job. Courtney?
Hi, I called 5 people on my way home from a listing appointment this morning. And so I plan to call 5 more today, since they're all people in my phone, but I don't have their addresses. And yeah, that's been going well.
Excellent, great job. Jared?
Yeah, I've got 4 contacts sitting here that I need to enter into my database. And I've just been busy working on a bunch of different administrative stuff here and other things going on in my life as well.
Excellent. Way to keep it moving forward. Daisy?
I am doing thank you notes today and yesterday for mattress sales into real estate. Hey, guess what? I'm changing careers. Do you need mattress needs or do you need real estate needs? Keep me up at the top of your mind.
Awesome, great job. Hannah.
Hi. I just was late because I was just had a meeting, like a mock closing with the title company. And I had an appointment this morning to get my eyelashes done. And I talked to her at length because she thought that, well, she has a real estate friend, but she didn't know that there was options for fixing her credit or things like that. So I'm going to send her some information. Like I told her, I'm not trying to encroach on your friend, but like, let me help you, send you some information. And then I had an interesting thing happen last night, and Erin knew about it. I had met this woman at an open house, and she seemed super pumped, and she was like, oh, I'm going to be working with you. And I was like, okay, great, take that. And I had emailed her the information she asked about, but she had never gotten back to me. So after our session yesterday, I just texted her and was like, hey, I hope that I answered any questions you might have had. If anything else comes up, just, feel free to reach out to me here. And she got right back to me and said, yeah, like I've been trying to do this on my own, not happy with it. Like, let's talk tomorrow. So I am going to call her after this today and see if I can set some specifics in a search for her. So that was kind of positive and fun.
Good job. Rocking right along. All right. So some of you, if you were on this before, may have heard Eric's little introduction, but I'm going to say it for everyone so everyone's on the same page. I'm really excited to have him teaching this Ignite Your Business course today. Eric has been in the real estate industry for 19 years. He has a background in marketing, brand strategy, and business law. He's extremely versed and suited for a coaching role due to him actually obtaining a degree in business consulting. Not only is he passionate about helping others build their business within this industry, he is also extremely dedicated to his own real estate team and clients. So a fabulous person to be learning from today. If you do not have the material today and need me to send it to you, then go ahead and put your email in the little chat box and I'll send you a copy of it that you can either follow along on your page or print out. If you are KWRP, I did confirm that you can, I think the easiest route for you to get the Ignite binders is going to be just dropping by Sunset Corridor, as they do have a few extras, and just ask their staff there to grab you one. Jordan knows where they are at that office. And then, yeah, let me know if you have other questions. Otherwise, Eric, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Mara. Yeah, so hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. And we're looking forward to kicking off Ignite. This is going to be a good way to kick off this season of learning for you guys, really digging deep, getting your business rocking and rolling. Who here does not have materials? Is there anybody that doesn't have the materials to at least look at on their, okay, one person. So this, just to kind of give you a heads up, ideally, if we can pull it down, you can get an electronic copy emailed to you. A lot of this is you actually working in, like, we'll call it a workbook for sake of, for lack of a better term, but you're basically working through some different things as we go along today. So it will be helpful to have that to look at. And you just, I mean, you can have it on your computer, whatever works for you all. You can have it, just, you're going to need something to write with, like pad of paper, or have a printed copy. If you do, that's great too. So in the next little while, as we're going through this, if you don't have it, try to get yourself dialed in and ready to roll. If you're driving, hopefully you can find a place to park and work on it, because this is an interactive course, and as well as an activity course for you, not just a passive listening game for you. So having said all that, I just, I want to welcome you guys. Here's the thing. I'm passionate about you guys reaching your goals, helping you reach what you want to reach in terms of your life why, your life goals, helping you get where you want to get to. And I think I could speak for the other coaches as well as there's instructors that come on here to teach these. And as you've probably seen, we don't get paid to teach these classes. We do it because we want to help you guys. So we're here for you. That's the goal. I want to help you learn. So if you're just stuck on something, or if there's a way we can help, I mean, whether it's during class or outside, reach out to us, and we're here to help you over the next, I don't know how many weeks this is, but it's a number of weeks. And hopefully the goal is that you come out of this feeling like you're equipped with everything you need to be running a solid real estate business. All right. How's that for a deal? You guys feel good about that? Yeah. Okay. We'll just jump right in here. Let's just, we got, so obviously the beginning here is welcome to Ignite. I'll let my computer refresh here. So if you have your packet, you want to pull it up to page 7. And the first thing we're going to do is take a look at the first question, which is, have you achieved your financial goals through your career so far? So the question I have for you is to take a second and answer these couple of questions. And I want you to think about those. Just take a minute or two, and whatever comes right to your mind, comes to heart, is probably the real answer for these, right? Doesn't take too long to, either it is or it isn't, right? It's like, what's one thing that makes a real estate agent more successful than others? That's just, what do you think off the top of your head? And then we can go into the rest of these. So just take like 30 seconds, answer those questions for yourself, and then I'll jump back on that. All right, let's jump back in. And so has anybody here actually reached their financial goals through their career so far? Is anybody here? Okay, well, that's good. Sort of a one person-ish. And you know what? That's the reality, is that occasionally that's the case, right? So occasionally this is another opportunity for somebody to move into another season of their life, another season of their career. So there's no right or wrong answer to that. And yet the reason that most of us are here, and really pretty much all of us, is from here forward, we want to be reaching our financial goals. Is that could you all agree with that? That we want to be reaching our goals, or what's the point, right? So who can tell me, what is the one thing, this is the next question here. What's the one thing that makes real estate agents successful more than anything else? Who wants to just jump on and give me an answer? Just unmute yourself and
hard work.
Okay. What else?
Connections.
Okay.
I said determination. Same as that word,
Yeah.
I guess.
I'd say confidence.
Mm-hmm. Those are all. Yep.
Having playbooks.
Mm-hmm.
I think following the model and trying to stand on others' shoulders instead of reinventing the wheel here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very true, isn't it? Why reinvent the wheel? As you guys probably have guessed, you're not the first real estate agent to try to figure out how to do this, right? So that's what this Ignite class, that's what we've all done it before. So what's the point in reinventing it, right? Let me throw out this. What do you guys think about, if we were to answer that question, is what is the one thing that makes real estate agents successful more than any other thing? What do you think about the answer of lead generate daily? What do you think about that answer? Does anybody disagree with that? Can you see how, if you were to look for basically leads, look for business prospect, how you can actually achieve success by doing it daily, right? And there's all those things you said, hard work and focus, all the other things that you guys pointed out are all part of that. Those are all true, as long as they all are pointing towards lead generation daily. So that's really the most important thing. And it's the thing I don't want to scare you with that. And yet I want you to know the truth about this business. The truth is we have to lead generate. If we don't do that, we don't have a business. I've been doing almost 20 years, and I can tell you It's just the way it is. It never just starts rolling in. The phone never really just starts ringing. You can shift your business towards that happening as you've put in place models and put in place those things. Yet that's not going to happen if you don't engage in it in some way daily. So it's not to scare you, but I do want to be honest with you, right? So if you're still in, which you all are, I think. So the next question, I'll just give you the answer on this one because it's pretty easy. The reason that we don't all do this is, guess what? It's people don't think it's important, and it can seem hard, but it actually isn't hard. Agents don't do it because they're uncomfortable, or they think, oh, all I need to do is this or that or the other to be successful in this business. And at the end of the day, you have to be disciplined to do it. That is true, but it isn't hard. And it's something that we all can do in some way. We can find those lead generation activities that are natural to us, that feel good to us. It doesn't have to be the exact same thing for each one of you. Yet we do need to do it every day. So the real question here, the last question on this page is your desire to succeed more powerful than your fear from doing that one thing that will make you succeed? So think about that for a second. Think about that for like 10 seconds, just 20 seconds. I want you to just sit there and think about it. Is your desire to succeed, your desire to reach your financial goals, is that more powerful than any fears that you're going to encounter as you go along and trying to build your business? And I want you to reconcile that. And there's no right or wrong answer. And yet you need to know where you're starting in order to get somewhere, right? Okay. So now that you have that answer, you don't even have, you can share it if you want to, but really it's for yourself. Know where you are. If you are truly like, I'm here to help coach my the people that are in my group, and I can help where I can elsewhere. But for me, I want to help you connect with that, connect your desire and get it to the point where your desire, your why, as we often talk about, will actually drive you to overcome any fears that you have and help you succeed. So the good news is, here we are. You're in business, you're in real estate, you've made the choice. So lead generation, here's the bottom line. Without lead generation, we don't have any clients. Without clients, we're not selling anything, right? So obviously at the end of the day, it's having the mindset that really is focused on the fact that, hey, I'm in the business to lead generate. There's no secret to this business other than that. It's that simple. And then, you could say, some people would argue, and I would even say we could talk about whether we're in a sales business. We could talk about that in different ways, because truly, if we're servant minded, so what is, in a service-based sales type of situation like we are in as realtors, we are truly looking to serve our clients. So if we're looking to serve them well and provide value and bring something to their life, then the sales part of that process is a whole lot easier. We don't have to sell as much as people will be drawn to want to the value that we bring them and to what we do to help them in this business. So you don't have to think of yourself as a salesperson if you're truly a value-based serving type of servant heart. So, but the key thing is mindset, and your attitude about this whole time is critical. So the next thing I want to move on to is what's called the 6 personal perspectives. Is just quick show of hands. Anybody heard of that before now, kind of, sort of? Okay. This is a really important aspect of what we do. Let me pull this up really quick for you on this, share screen, toggling back and forth between different. So I've got a bunch of screens going myself here. So some days they will be more smooth than others. There we go. So 6 personal perspectives. As you can see on the page here, and as we look in your book, we're on page 9, the Ignite manual book here. You can see that the 6 are, of course, as it says, you can see on the slide, self-mastery, the 80-20 principle, E to P, and then, sorry, I'm going to move this over. There we go. Being learning-based and no limiting beliefs. And I'm going to move that over here. Okay, I got to get my presentation. Thank you for your patience on that. So you can see now, if you look at these, one of the interesting things about that is, I mean, visuals are great, right? So you can see that the three, having a good mindset, having a good attitude, and a good approach to life, it's where they intersect is obviously where basically the happiness is, where the success is, you know. So the key thing for all of us is to, you know, really understand and align ourselves around these 6 personal perspectives. Gary talks about this. If we look at let's I'll pop off this. Actually, everybody has this. If you have this manual, you're looking at it. The first step in this, how about Daisy, why don't you read us the first step 1, commit to self-mastery. What does self-mastery say there, Daisy? Mute.
The possession of great knowledge, skills, and habits that make you the master of you. When you commit to achieving self-mastery, you know your goals, you know your strengths and weaknesses, and you know how to work within both your strengths and weaknesses to seek and master the necessary knowledge, skills, and habits to reach your goals.
Yeah, what do you guys think about that? That's pretty powerful, isn't it? I mean, self-mastery. Has anybody here ever really thought about the idea of self-mastery before? Like, you know, basic show of hands, like anybody? Sometimes it's a term that's thrown around, or sometimes you see in these books, these self-help type or whatever. The truth is that, you know, we all have to be engaged in some level of self-mastery to even live our lives, right? I mean, we self-mastery around, you know, getting up in the morning and, you know, actually getting ready for the day. I mean, there's things that we start to do in our day that we do throughout the day in our prior jobs or whatever, that we've learned to do well, and we've learned to show up well. And that really what we're talking about here is no different. It's just that in this particular situation, we're talking about this industry in this class. And in this class, we're talking about your basically your career that you've chosen to jump into here, and say, what can you do relative to that to add to the things that you've already mastered in your life, to where you can actually be successful, where you can, as it says here, where you know your goals as it relates to real estate, you know your strengths and your weaknesses, and you know how to work around those things, work out of your strengths, learn where you can or need to, you know, improve those weaknesses, and learn how to basically become the person that you need to be to master the areas of yourself you need to be successful in this. The second one is commit to the 80-20 principle. So the bottom line on this one is simple. You know, we've all heard the 80-20, we've all heard different things. The truth, I'll tell you about this industry, is more often than not, it is even 90-10. And truly, even if you look at the numbers for our city, for example, here, but we see it in general for our industry, more often than not, 90% of the stuff that's sold, or the volume that goes through, is done by like 10% of the agents. And with the reality is that really, when you talk about, has anybody ever heard of the One Thing book, by the way? Quick show of hands, everybody. Yes. If you've heard of the One Thing, put up your hand. Yeah. If you haven't, I recommend picking up a copy and start learning to master that. That's a great skill, learning how to live out of your one thing. So the reason I bring that up is it really becomes, as it says here in the book, 20% of your actions leads to 80% of your results. So there, as the One Thing will point out, sometimes it's even higher than that, that truly even like 5 to 10% of your actions can lead to almost all of your results when you really get down to what's that one most important thing. So what we're trying to do here, as it says right here, we're trying to identify what is that top 20% that you're going to be doing, that you're going to be focused on, so that those activities are the ones that actually make you money in this business. E to P, let's go with Hannah. Why don't you read off what E to P is there in our manual on page 11.
Higher achievers are always looking for the purposeful way. By doing this, they break through the ceiling of their natural behavior. You can attain a certain level of success utilizing your natural abilities, but expect to hit a ceiling at some point. Wouldn't you like to achieve even greater success and break through that ceiling? How about living a larger life or attaining your goals?
Yeah, right. How about that? Wouldn't you guys like to break through that ceiling and achieve your goals? I mean, I think everybody here would, right? I know I could say for myself, I would like that, and I do like that. who here has heard of the whole idea of E2P or seen it in the graphics before? Anybody here seen it? Okay, so E2P stands for entrepreneurial to purposeful. And while there are classes on it, I could teach a class just on that alone. For sake of what we're moving through today, I'll give you just a really simplistic overview. Entrepreneurial is what you're going to do naturally. So all of us here have skills. All of us here have things we do well. You're going to naturally do certain things well. You're going to go through the motions. You're going to do the tasks, and you're going to naturally succeed at a certain level. If you want to get past whatever that natural level is for you, for each one of us, then it's going from E to P to break through your natural ceiling of achievement. When you don't, the challenge with it is, and again, without going off in the weeds too deeply on this, just to help you understand, when you're operating an entrepreneurial mindset, you'll hit your natural ceiling of achievement, and then you'll tend to bounce along. You'll drop, you'll hit the ceiling, you'll drop, you'll hit the ceiling again. The graphic of it is a good visual to see that you kind of bounce along the side, and then you start to burn out because you're like, man, I've been doing this, and this is all, I'm never getting any further. And then you kind of get some energy, and then I'm just getting burned out again. So the way to get out of that sort of cycle is to become purposeful around certain things. It could be different areas of your life as well, right? To become, I'm a parent, so there's showing up every day, there's phoning it in and just showing up as a parent. And then they're saying, hey, I want to be purposeful about this. I want to learn how to be better at these certain areas of being a parent or whatever. And actually like breaking through what I naturally know or naturally learn or whatever I got, and it takes work, and it takes coaching, and it takes, guidance to help break through that. And yet that's where the magic happens. That's where the real growth happens. That's where you see like your eyes are wide open again, like, wow, man, this is great. Like I'm seeing this whole, in the case of real estate here, man, I'm seeing this whole business open back up for me and to get a whole nother level. So that's the idea of E to P, or being purposeful and breaking through what would just come natural and be easy for you. And that's a particularly important one. And I know I spent some time on it, but I'd be happy to even talk about it more, but it's in some of our Keller Williams books as well. It's talked about. It's a really great principle. The fourth step is make being learning based the foundation of your action plan. So Courtney, what is that? What is step 4? Can you read that for us? Step 4 on page, whatever that is, 11.
Sorry, it took me a minute to unmute. Sorry about that. Yeah, step 4, make being learning-based the foundation of your action plan. A learning-based individual is an individual who has made the decision to use effective learning as the foundation piece for their action plan to develop their life. Training and education are a big part of moving forward to attain your goals and succeed at a high level. Learning-based individuals commit to the process of acquiring skill-based habits.
Thank you, Courtney. So yeah, obviously you all are here, right? I think that's evidence that you all are willing to learn, right? Can we all agree, right? We're all here. So I challenge you to keep that these are all 6 personal perspectives that are good to keep. In particular, just keep that learning-based mindset your whole life. It will serve you well. And in particular, as you become overwhelmed, as you become like, oh man, there's just so much to do to build this career, as these things start hitting you, I want you to just check yourself and say, hey, look, I'm here. I've committed to learning. I've committed to growing, and it will be hard. There will be times when I feel like I'm climbing a mountain, and there'll be other times when I feel like I'm just coasting along. And this is stuff I already kind of know based on whatever your past and your past trainings might be. So just help remind yourself, hey, I need to stay in a learning based. I'm here to learn. I mean, I'm here to learn too. I continually learn. I've been doing it 19 years. And yet what I have learned is the more you know, the more you learn, the more you know how much you don't know. That's really the bottom line. So stay learning based. And more importantly, as you come to step 5, remove those limiting beliefs. Who here has ever thought of, it says right here, high achievers remove beliefs from their thinking that hold them back. Who here has ever thought, oh, I can't do that, or oh, I don't see how I'm going to make that happen? Who's ever done that? Me? I know I have right here, right? Hands.
Right,
okay. And whoever didn't raise their hand is lying. So we've all had limiting beliefs, right? Can we agree about that? So how do we overcome that? It happens in every area of our life. And I'm not talking about, oh, I can't jump 10 feet. No, that's not a limiting belief. That's a reality. I'm talking about the things that truly are limiting beliefs. So in the manual here, you can see a couple examples. I have to be an expert and know everything before I can start my business, or I have to know all about the contracts before I could write one, or, I just don't know if I can, if I can actually make enough money and I can fund what I need to make happen in this business. It just seems so overwhelming, or, there's all sorts of limiting beliefs that we tell ourselves. And the truth is this, there are, I mean, obviously there's reality. I can't jump 10 feet because there's gravity and I weigh a certain amount. But what I'm talking about are the things that we truly can say, look, I don't know how yet. I don't know how yet I'm going to learn. Maybe I don't see the, maybe I don't see the path yet, but I'm going to jump in and try to figure out what that path is so that I can get on it and I can get where I need to get to, so that, with the first one, for example, instead of saying, oh, I have to be an expert and know everything and, blah, 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 you could say, I need to be a professional, not an expert. So that's saying I need to show up and be somebody that shows up and not just have to be an expert to do that. My expertise will come as I learn, as I draw from others. The training will prepare me for being successful in this. The things that I do, the things that I learn will prepare me and cause me to actually be successful and take successful action. So that's a way of flipping a reality, because that's still true, right? It's still true that you're still learning. It's still true that you don't have all that knowledge. Those things are all true. And yet, if you turn it around, does that make sense? Like if you turn it around in your mind and see how to project it for yourself in your subconscious, project it as something that can be done rather than as I can't. Does that make sense? You guys kind of tracking with all that? Okay.
Right.
Yeah. The last one is my most favorite one. It's the A word, and it's not the one that talks about the horse-looking animal. It's the other word that people don't like, accountable. So the sixth, personal perspective, and all of these are important, yet without this last one, I'm just going to say good luck, And the reason is this. Okay, well, let me just ask, who here likes feeling accountable? Let me just I'm going to put my hand down because I don't like it. Anybody else like feeling accountable? Okay, good. There's a couple of us. There's always somebody in every group. Okay, well, good for you. You're going to do well. The rest of us are going to struggle like normal. This will all be a coasting for you too that raised your hand. Okay, so here's the thing. Let me share a few examples of where all of us choose to be accountable in areas of our life that are important. For example, you've all had a job. Let's just use a generality in this first one. You've all had some sort of job, some sort of child, some sort of something situation that required you to get out of bed, make the breakfast, get out the door, make it happen. Like you are accountable to doing the things that you needed to do to get to where you needed to get to make it happen, right? To get to school when we were younger, or now or recently, to get somebody to work, get yourself to work, right? So we chose to be accountable to that structure, didn't you? Right? Here's another example you do every day. I do every day. I'm sure most of you do every day. You drive your car down the road. Well, guess what? You're choosing to be accountable to the rules and the laws of what make a successful trip wherever you're going successful. Like you choose to be accountable to staying on your side of the road. You don't have to. Nobody's forcing you to, but you choose to. You choose to naturally be accountable because you're like, it's not worth it. I could go around this traffic. I could go the wrong way down the street. I could cross over the center line. You could do all those things. You have the choice to do that. And yet you consciously, and these days subconsciously, if you've been driving long enough, choose to be accountable to doing it the right way, to following the patterns and the rules, not just the rules, but the patterns and the ways that we know that traffic flow needs to work in order to not get in an accident and die and all these other things, right? So you guys choose to be accountable to things every day because the outcome of that is something you want. You don't want to get in a wreck. You don't want to, die on the way to work or on the way home. So you choose to be accountable to that. And just like that, just like everything else in our life that we choose to be accountable to because the results are something that are important to us, this is just like that, right? Real estate is just a business. You're just running a business. And the good news is you have an opportunity to really focus on how you can affect people's life and have fun with this. And it's a business. And if you choose to be accountable to what it takes to actually operate your business and not get in a wreck and not go off the rails and never get to your destination. If you just pull over the side of the road in your car and sit there, well, guess what? You're never going to get there, So this business is just like that. The roads are already there, the paths are already there, that we all know basically what needs to be done in order to get you there. And you may even know some of that. And the reality is you have to put in place some areas of accountability to help you get there, right? So many of us right now rely on the fact that we know that driving down the road in a certain way is safety. We don't need a police officer following us around all day to make sure we drive correctly. And occasionally it's that little accountability. They're like, it's not worth driving down 99 through Hall Boulevard and getting a photo op ticket for going a little too fast. Just not worth that. Like there's a built-in now, there's accountability because there were enough people that were not being accountable to the structure of the road that they had to put one of those in on 72nd and on all those other places where there's now built-in accountability if you're driving too fast, right? So the truth is, for our business, it's just like that. There's going to be times where we need to willingly subject ourselves and actually just say, look, it's good for me to have accountability. So I don't want to beat that up anymore yet. I will tell you, without accountability, in some way, somehow, you're not going to get anywhere. Okay. Let's just get that out. Right. So let me just say a few things about getting the most out of what we're doing here really in this experience. I mean, the whole idea of this whole class is that you are, not just showing up, not just let's just go to page 14. It talks about, it talks about capper. So everybody knows what a capper is, right? A capper is just, you're reaching. I mean, if you signed on to real estate, you understand that you reached a certain, you put in a certain amount of money to help keep the office running, to help pay for basically everything that we do as an office to support you. They use the term cap, right? So you reach a cap. What we know is that cap rate roughly is usually an income level that is sustainable for most people to be able to do the business. So we refer to capper. I don't particularly like the term because I'm more focused around what's the number for you that helps you reach your financial goals. So I'm not going to overemphasize that term capper. What I will say though, as it points out here, it says, look, you can either be a prisoner to this process. You can sit in these classes, you can sit in your coaching sessions and be like, well, I'm just here, because I got to be here. Like, well, what time is it? Got other things to do. It's like, you can be a prisoner to it, or you can be like, hey, this is just all fun. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have fun, yet I am saying that like, you're in it, but you're just kind of in it to do it. You're in it to show up. You're just showing up to work. It's kind of the term. I don't know if you've all heard the term phoning it in. You're just phoning it in, which is like, I'm here. I just showed up for work today. I'm just doing the job I'm told to do, and I leave every day. It's like, good deal. But you're really just, you're kind of not really into it. As it says here, you're not intentional. You're not purposeful. You're just like, oh, what did they say? Oh, okay. What I would like for you all, not for myself, but for you all, and what all of us instructors would like for you to help you achieve your goals is that you are what they term here, the explorer. You're willing to explore, and you're excited that basically what this career can do for you. If you really want to get the most out of this next however many 28 weeks or whatever this is, it's not that long, but if you want to get the most out of your career and this set of courses, then I would just hope that you can find it in yourself, get your headspace, get your mental space to the place where you are like, I'm in this. I want to know, I want to learn, I want to do whatever I can to be just part of this process and be the best that I can be in some way. Like I would hope that as it talks about here, you're here on time. I like this posture of acceptance. You're sitting there wanting to learn, wanting to understand, what does that mean for me? What does that mean for this thing that we're doing? So, and then obviously, I think you guys are all respectful. I think you guys we've already been down the path enough to know that we don't have to tell everybody, hey, be respectful of others. So hopefully we're here to get the most out of it. My question for you right now is, so when you were asked, there was a mission for each power session, if I recall correctly, is that right? Like you guys had, let's see, what do we have on this one? I believe this one, was there a video? Did you guys look into this ahead of time, or was it, because I just picked this up to teach it. Okay, well, anyway, there was actually a form that I think was originally part of this program where it would just kind of get you to kind of ramped up. So when you showed up today, you were not like, oh, what are we doing? So are bad for not making sure that you don't have all that. But really what it is just having you mentally into it and kind of preparing all the stuff that we're talking about. There's a couple of, videos, a couple of things that you would have potentially watched that would just kind of get your mind ramped up, ramped up, ready to roll. So what I would say is this, the part of that, if you didn't do that, part of that is we have some, I'll just overview a few things. If you haven't already gotten like your KW email and some of these other like things that you need to get set up in order to be a biz, I would encourage you to do that today, if at all possible. If you haven't done it, just jump in and get all that stuff done. Get connected with your MCA or whoever it is that you need to get connected with in your office, and make sure you're up to date on all the stuff that you can be, so that you're ready to roll. Because what we're going to do is roll in as we go here. We're going to roll into more like hands-on stuff even today. And so I just want to make sure you guys know what you're able to operate, if you will. So let's take a look here. The first thing, what I would say is to a couple of things I did want to review with you, just to, as we go through this course set. Ideally, what I want to do is I want to give you guys a couple of breaks here and there. I think most instructors will. We would like it if you're I guess they're written on the page here, but try to be fully present, as I said there. The reality is that there's a lot of activities that are here for you to actually do for yourself and come up with the answers and participate at a level that gives you value, right? So just reading this stuff, saying, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine, doesn't, some of it is really, it's a tool for you to use as we move forward. So I encourage you to participate and actually write in your answers and really do participate at the highest level that you're able to today. And of course, every day in these courses, because you will find that all these courses they're not supposed to be lectures. I know I've talked a lot here in the beginning, yet the idea is as we go along, there's going to be a lot of stuff for you guys I'm going to say, here's what we're going to work on, and you're going to work on it for a few minutes. And that will happen throughout a lot of different trainings. So I just asked, I'm just asking on behalf of all of us that that you participate in that for your own sake, really. You're the only one that if you're accountable to yourself on that, you're the one that benefits. And at the end of the day, let's just have fun, you guys. This should be a fun career, even though it's hard. It doesn't, I shouldn't say hard. It can be challenging to push through on some of these things. It actually isn't hard. It's just challenging. And yet it's rewarding as heck. I'll tell you, it is so great. So let's do this. Do anybody have any questions like so far? Let me see if I can just pull up my full screen here. Anybody have any questions on anything? You can just jump on. You're good so far? Okay. All righty. Let's take a look here. Let's jump on to the next section here. Let's go to, actually, what time is it? Okay, I'm gonna jump into an exercise here, which is gonna be, I'm gonna give you guys I'm gonna give you guys a few minutes to work on it, and it will serve as a break and as an exercise for you guys. All right, how's that for a deal? So let's jump into one of my favorite subjects, which is know your big why and your monetary goals. Let me just check something here, get that. So what I would like to do is present the concept of the big why. Anybody heard of or follow Simon Sinek? If you're a Simon Sinek fan, you know the whole idea of know your why. Anybody here like versed on that or know that? No? Okay. Well, my personal homework for you, all of you, is go online, look up Simon Sinek. If I think of it or somebody else has time, pull it up or just put it in the chat for us all and start listening to his stuff about your why. Some of it's really corporate based or, like how to run an organization and whatever. And yet if you can start digesting, there's he's on like TED, he's got lots of videos online, short ones, long ones. Here's the thing, as he will make a very clear case over all of his material, and other people have as well, if you know your why, if you know the reason, like, let me just use a really good example. If you know why you need to get out of bed and use the restroom, you will get out of bed and use the restroom because you're like, I need to get out of bed and use the restroom. Like the why drives you, even though it's cold out, even though whatever, you're camping, you're like, I don't want to go outside the tent, but I also don't want to just in my tent. So I'm like in my sleeping bag. So you get up and you go out there and you are driven past what you don't want to do because the why is in that very tiny little, example is pretty clear. And it's something you want. So when you break that out into your life, if not all of us feel like they have a real clear why, and yet you can work towards having that. You can work towards understanding what really feeds and stirs your soul. What are the things that really cause you to feel like, this is why I get out of bed in general. This is what drives me, Does anybody here feel like they have a real clear, like why that like in their life that they want to share really quick? Like, that's just, this is why I live my life. Like, and it's clear to you, there's no right answer, but anybody want to share one if they have one? And if not, that's okay.
I like helping people. I get extreme amounts of pleasure and happiness when I'm able to help somebody currently find the perfect mattress, and eventually, as this moves into something a little bigger and better, find the perfect house.
That's awesome.
That's my one.
Yeah. And that's, so that's a good example of that. And I could dig down with you even deeper on, so why is that important to you? And what is that, what is meaningful to you about that? And that's what any of my coaching people, we will go through that exercise. So if you're in my coaching program now that I've adopted those people, or you're starting out in mine, you get the chance to do that with me in person. So, or however we need to do it, but ideally we can walk through that and I will dig deep with you on that. But here's the thing. If you are passionate about your big why, if you know what it is that just stirs your heart and stirs your soul, then when you look at the models, we don't have to reinvent real estate here. It's been done. There's a model, and then within those models, there's different tactics and strategies that will achieve each step along the way, right? They're not all the same for each of us based on your strengths and your weaknesses. So the reality truly is, if you know that why, it will cause you to move right through the pain points of any of those tactics that you need to do, and you'll go right on through them and go towards what it is you're trying to reach, your goals ultimately. So let's do this. Let's go to this exercise here in terms of helping you quickly build out your why. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this today, but I also don't want to shortchange it, because this is, I believe, so my personal perspective in this is that I believe walking through this experience with your coach is actually a far more valuable experience. So I would say, I don't know, does everybody here have a coach? Yeah, put your hand up if you don't have a coach. Okay, so if your coach hasn't already walked through this with you, or you want to revisit it, I would ask you to do it. It could be your team leader, or it could be your coach. But I would walk through this. I'm going to give you like a 5-minute break plus, whatever, another couple of minutes I want you to do page 20 and 21. Well, actually, let's go all the way down onto 22 and fill out this big why. Let's see, what time is it? This is going to be your break / so I've got 1:51. So can we come back, or just, you can hang out, but can we reconvene at 2? And in that time, I want you to actually articulate the answers to those questions, as well as get yourself some water, do what you need to do, use the restroom, run around the room, wake yourself up, do some jumping jacks. Do that, and let's plan to be live again at 2. Does that sound good? Okay. So we'll take about another minute or two, couple minutes to kind of rolling out at about 2 here. As we get ready to restart, anybody have any questions on it that I could help you with right here in the next couple minutes? I know it's kind of a big, if you've never done the exercise, I will admit, even for me, sitting down in a few minutes trying to like solve what is my life all about is kind of a lot. I get that. And that's why I said for this to really be, I think, most effective, sit down and do it. You don't even have to do it with your coach, but ideally if it's somebody that's helping guide your success here. I mean, this is why you join Keller Williams. We are a family of people that really want to help you succeed. We're not just saying, oh, great, you got your license, here, we'll just give you a sign and good luck. We want to help you succeed. And so we have a culture of agents that also are here to help and want to help. I mean, are we all perfect? No, but I would say as a whole, again, I've been around a long time. I've worked with agents on transactions from every different kind of business, and there are some great agents at other companies. And yet what's consistently true, I find, is that the kind of agents that end up hanging out at Keller Williams are the ones that truly value this collaborative. How can we all achieve, how together we can truly achieve more? Together we can help each other. As they say, a rising tide floats all boats. We can raise the tide within our company, within our culture, and help everybody, really get there. So as you're moving along in this, find somebody, hopefully, if you're one of my people, great, but find your coach and work through this why exercise. And if it doesn't happen in one setting, that's fine. Work on it, do some soul searching, do some journaling some weekend, go somewhere that is meaningful to you, where you can unplug and really think about what gets you out of bed in the morning, frankly. This is a good question to answer for your whole life, by the way. It's not just what you're going to find from me as a coach, for me personally, is that I'm going to help you look at your whole life and how this particular business either works or doesn't for your life. I'm not afraid to talk people out of it if it turns out this is the worst thing for their life ever. As there's a class we have in our Keller Williams has one of the people that founded it actually had a real passion for this sort of thing. And this sort of a series or a long class that you could go to a breakout session at the big, they call it family reunion, the big conferences that we kind of used to have. But we would teach this what the heck's it called? I just spaced it. Anyway, we'd teach this big long course, and they would joke about how there's a percentage of people that would get out of real estate after taking that, because they're like, this is not the right path for my life, and the goal of doing this is so that you can achieve your life goals, not just show up for work and collect a paycheck. There's a lot of places you can do that, and running your own real estate business isn't one of them. So as you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about this, because you know what? I know you will succeed. If we connect you with your why, you can do anything that's reasonably possible. So, all right, let's rock and roll and jump into the next section, which is really putting the rubber to the road here. Let's do this. Let's, as it's on page 23, so the next section after your big why. exercise. I would, by the way, I would ask you guys if, let me just put it out there. If anybody really wants to share anything they wrote, I would totally be open to hearing and love to hear about it. Yet I don't want to put anybody on the spot. I don't want to, can be often be very personal as well. So if anybody really is eager to share.
I want to share.
Yeah, please do.
Yes, so my big why is just being in this business. I think it will help me to have more control of my own life and achieve financial stability. It will give me the tools and ability to make my own decisions for myself and for my business.
Yeah.
So only I will be the only one in control, and nobody else can mess it up unless I let somebody do that. So that's what drives me. This is my big why.
So Stella, what does being in control of your own destiny, what does that do for you? What does that mean to your life?
Again, financial stability is very important for me.
So what does financial stability, what does that mean?
Will
What is
give
that?
me-
What's the outcome of that for you in your life? What does that translate to?
Well, it will give me ability to spend more time with my son.
Okay.
And that he's basically the reason, another reason that drives me to do that.
So it sounds like the why behind your financial stability is your son. Is that what
Correct.
you're saying?
And,
So-
and myself. Of
And
course.
yourself, yeah, obviously caring well, and and we all know as parents that we need to care well for ourselves in order to show up well for our kids. I mean, that's
Right.
you know, the oxygen mask on yourself first philosophy. So it sounds like truly, obviously, showing up well for yourself and for your son. So let me ask you this: knowing that you are showing up well for your son, what do you think that does for him in his life, in his future?
Well, I will be an example for him. And he is a very social baby. And when we together, we love spending time with people and meeting new people. I think he's the very like in this way.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also I'm very excited to meet more people and to have more friends, or again, like that lady said, she feels happy when she helps somebody to buy a good mattress.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She gets this feeling of satisfaction and rewarding feeling. I think I agree with her.
Mm-hmm.
Helping somebody to find the perfect home will give you a feeling of happiness.
Yeah,
Because I really like to be happy for somebody else, especially if I help that person to get
For
something.
sure. Yeah, obviously that feels good. And I would agree with that. If we circle back to the why part of that, what I heard you say was that, and correct me if I'm wrong, what's driving maybe your desire for financial stability is that financial stability gives you choices, and those choices allow you to choose time with your son and choose time investing in the future of your child. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So if you think about it, and all of you think about it, that financial stability piece that gives her choices is really what's going to get her out of bed in the morning. That's what's going to drive her when she's like, I really don't feel like making these calls. I really don't feel like doing that. Is it Stella? Is that right?
Yes.
Stella. So it sounds like for you, I really identifying that and knowing you're connecting with that when you're like, man, I don't want to go do this open house. Or whatever it is that you're feeling like at that time, you're not feeling it. Turn and think about that. Why? Like, this is giving me choices. This is allowing me to choose to spend time with my son. The more financially stable I am, the more choices I have. And that's, if that's a value to you, which it sounds like it is from what you're saying, then that's what's going to get you going. Does that make sense? And can the rest of you see how that why really is important to, it's truly driving your ability to push past, when things are hard, Thank you so much, Stella. I appreciate you sharing that. If anybody else wants to share, I'm open to it. Otherwise, we can jump into the numbers.
I'd like to.
Yeah.
So for me, it's there were three things. It's I I want financial freedom, so retirement,
Mhm.
and also free time so that I can do other things and all of that is, I want to do all I'm created to do. So I feel I've not used all my skills and talents and capacities, and it feels wasted. So that's I think my biggest why that drives me is to push past the limits that I've put on myself, for the sake of pushing past the limits, because I don't even know what's possible. I feel like even when I write this, I don't imagine what's possible. All that capacity to help, to give money away, to do things that we all think of as other people do. I want to do that too.
Yeah. And that's okay. Thank you for sharing that. Is it Lauren? Is that right? Yep. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And the truth is that often what you talked about in terms of your sometimes not being able to visualize what is that really like to have that, or sometimes we talk about spend that, or what would that really, trying to visualize things that you've not experienced before or not done before can be hard. And it's hard truly it's probably hard for all of us, because we don't have a perspective to understand that from. So there's ways, like, I don't want to say tools, but there are even classes and things that we will, as part of Keller Williams, we will touch on things like that. And so if that's something that you see in yourself and you really have this desire, and of course, for any of us, I would say it'd be worth engaging in to see how do I see and understand a perspective that I haven't experienced yet, and yet I want to grow into and want to see I kind of want to I see it's like the light at the end of the tunnel, but I haven't actually seen that light because I haven't been in that tunnel before. So I don't know what it is I'm looking for, but I know that there's going to be a light at the end of that tunnel, it's almost like that, and it's like you trust that if you can learn from that and start changing the way you look at things, there's a saying, the change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. And that is just a fundamental, part of the psychology and the way our brains work. So good on you. It sounds like, Lauren, you are, if I'm understanding you correctly, one of the things driving you is you don't feel like you've fulfilled what you're capable of. You've not given back to the world in the way that you could. Is that accurate?
That's right. Yeah. And I feel that it's a faith walk, because I don't see it all right now. If $1 million was sitting on the table, I would probably figure out a way to get it, Sure. But it's not right in front of me. So what you were talking about breaking through those limitations. To me, that's a big thing. It's like walls, right? And getting through them instead of bouncing off them all the time. And, I think we've all worked through some walls, but then some of them they just keep popping up,
Yeah.
So for me, financial walls pop up. I haven't had a strong connection to making money. I've had a strong connection to helping people, all those kinds of things. So I spent a lot of my life doing things like that. But getting over the wall of this, by serving people in this way and trying to think of it as serving, I can also serve people in more ways I'm created to serve people in other ways. So
yeah, absolutely. So what's interesting about when you think about the E to P, to circle back to that, we all have those walls. We all have the ceiling of achievement is what it's referring to. And yet we all have that. I mean, there's in other areas of our lives, you can probably think of ways and places where you feel like you just keep bouncing off of something and you don't know why that is, or you haven't experienced it before, you haven't done it that way before, whatever that is. It's true of all the areas of our lives. And do you guys remember, I mean, this story has been talked about, but there was the famous running, story where everybody said, oh, you'll never break I think, was it the 4-minute mile or something like that? Is that what it was? Or whatever that was, right? And they said, oh, you'll never do it. You'll never do it. Well, as soon as somebody did it, all of a sudden, again and again and again, people did it, literally like one after another, because everybody thought it couldn't be done. So they didn't do it. But once they realized, here is how you can do it, then they're all like, oh, you can do it. And then they all started breaking through what was an artificial barrier they had created, and that's just, it's okay. And I guess the reason I'm saying this to all of us is, it's okay to know that those things exist, because now that we know that those are there and that it's okay that we have those natural places, that some of us are really good at one thing, but maybe this other, maybe I'm good at this, but you're really good at this, right? And that's fine. But we both have to figure out how to break through that natural level of achievement, not because the achievement in and of itself is inherently bad. And I want to make sure and make that clear, that just because like that is whatever that box or that you're talking about breaking out of, just because that is where your level of whatever that is, doesn't mean that level isn't good. What's true though, and what's been proven out over time, is in not just in real estate, but in any part of your life, really, in industry, is that if you just operate within that and you just keep bouncing off of that, what happens is you just burn out, because you feel like you're giving all your effort and you're only getting so far. And then you give all your effort and you only get so far. And it's just, what happens to our psyche is at some point we just stop trying. We just kind of fizzle out. We just go, we end up on at best, we hit a plateau, and it's just under our ceiling of achievement in whatever that is. And we'll just coast along. If we're a high functioning individual, we'll coast along on a nice plateau, and that's what it'll be. That's all it'll be. And if we're saying, I just want a little more out of life, I want to understand this a little more, I want to, learn and expand, like making, I don't like to be focused on actually making money. Money is just a tool, guys. It's just something that gives you choice, right? You guys know that. The emotional side connection to money should really be rooted in, what is that tool doing for my life, truly. But anyway, if I've never made or passed a certain amount of money, it's hard to envision, what does that look like? What does a budget look like for somebody who is netting, not just grossing, but somebody who's netting $1 million in their bank account every year? What does their checkbook look like? Like where is that money going? How are they supporting the household that they're in and the bills they have? Like, it's hard for people who've never been there to actually understand what that is. And that's not wrong. It just is, right? It's just simple. Like, if you've never run a big corporation, it's hard for you to know what that, let's say a CFO, if you walked into that person's job, your mind would be blown, because you're like, this is way past my level of this is way past my level of achievement in my life, and I don't know even how to run this, right? It's not wrong. It's just that you don't have that perspective yet. So what I would encourage you guys to do is really be okay with the reality that those things exist, and look at, where do you want to be purposeful, and moving past that. And then find somebody, again, I could teach a whole class on E2P, and there are classes. Find somebody that has gotten to where you want to go, or that is doing that in that area of your life. If somebody that's doing 100 sit-ups a day, just a real nice little narrow slice of your life, find somebody who got there and said, how did you get there? And there may be more than one way, but you know what I'm saying? Find that level of achievement that you want to reach. Look for people that have done it. If it's real estate or anything, even life related, again, this is the type of culture that we all want to support you in that. So talk to people, just say, hey, this is where I'm at, and I want to learn how to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense to all you guys? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Clearly you can tell I'm excited and passionate about that, because really, here's the thing, this is what is going to get you guys out of all the rest of this stuff. These are just tactics, and these are things that are important. But if you don't connect with why you're doing it, and you don't have like a desire to move past and understand that it's okay to be where you are, and understand that you have to know where you want to go, and break it down to, it's actually as easy as just finding somebody that's done it, finding somebody that's done 100 push-ups a day. I was over quarantine. I got up to, was it 300 and something a day? And people are like, how are you doing that? I was like, here's how I did it, and it was just a choice, and it wasn't easy. And the only way I did it is I was super accountable, like publicly accountable. And so that there were many, many days I was doing hundreds of push-ups at 11 o'clock at 11:30 at night, because I didn't get them done, and so I knew I couldn't let down the public, had to do it, so, but I broke through a ceiling that I never thought was meant. I just thought I'd never do that. And then I did. There you go. It was actually that easy in that sense, and it didn't happen overnight. So let's jump into something that's very to the point, and that is the your monetary goal. Let's do, you guys have the manual. There's, I think, who was it Ismail? Did you say you didn't have this packet? Who? I can't remember. There was one or two people on here that didn't have it still, but I think Mara can, she was supposed to email it out. If you were late to the call, she'll get it to you right now. If you can text her or email her if you still don't have it. The reason I'm mentioning that is we're going to jump into your monetary goal. So let's, on page 23 of the packet here, it talks about your annual monetary goal. If you can, I'm hoping that if you've gotten into this business, somebody has asked you this question by now. I'm hoping this isn't the first time that you've even considered how much money do I need to make in a year if you're sitting here at this point. And it's okay if it is, because now's a good time to answer that question. So take like 1 minute and answer, or why don't you just answer it while I talk? Answer that question. What is your annual monetary goal? And I mean, like the money that is in your bank account. So like if you've been working, if you've worked a job that's a W-2 job, you know, if you made 100,000 a year, that's not what showed up in your bank account. You know that because you pay taxes and whatever. So if you want, think of it in terms of, it's a little different running your own business. Yeah, let's just think about what is your annual monetary goal. So let's write that in. And I'm going to talk while you write, because this is really easy to walk through and you don't have to be focused on it the same way. Right below that, you can see, so for example, average sale price is 200,000. Well, we know that our average sale price, let's just use 500,000 as a number, because I think that's it's good math and it's closer to the average depending on what part of Oregon you guys are in. I think it's north of that in Portland area, but 500 is a real nice number. And I'm going to pull up my calculator just because that's real nice to have open. And then right below it says average commission rate to you. Okay, it says 3%. Let's just be honest. That's not average in our area also. So I'm going to use 500,000 as an average. And I'm going to say the average commission rate is, we could say 2.5 because of two reasons. One, more than likely, a lot of you are going to be doing more buyers than listings out of the gate, and buyer commissions still are hovering around 2.5, although you occasionally are seeing for less. But let's just, for sake of the numbers, let's use 2.5, because if you can get a listing, even though you might get a little pressure to take it for less, I think 2.5 is not a bad average to use right now. If you are concerned and if you're somebody, how about this? If you're somebody who really likes to err on the side of like, you know, well, let's average everything lower. And then, you know, that way, when I really do the numbers, I come out better, then just put in there 2% or something, but round down. So 5%, 500,000 times 2.5%. So that's easy. That's 12,500 on average. And then you move down to page 24. So if we, as I just did the math there, 500,000 times 2.5% equals 12,500. So if you're 12,500 per transaction, and let's just use the numbers on the page that they have there, which is 20,000 cap plus 3,000 royalty. Let's just use those numbers because it's close enough. And so if we move down using those numbers, I didn't lose anybody yet, right? This is pretty straightforward. So if your annual net GCI goal would be your, as you can see on page 25, the top is your annual income goal. So I don't know, I want you to use the number. I mean, they put a nice easy number of 100,000 in there. I don't want to, if this was a private session, I would ask you what you've made in the past and what that was like, but just you know, because I want to respect people's privacy. Think of what you've made, or what you've made, maybe the most you've made, if that's applicable in your mind, to think of this number. Think of, if you don't have an annual income goal that, well, let me just say this. If you have an annual income goal that you wrote above, put it there. And then I would say, if you didn't already, I would actually add another 20% to that income goal, just as most people underestimate what they need for their income. Now, if you overestimated and just threw a number out there just for fun, then use that number. But if you're somebody who like underestimated and said, well, if I pay all my bills and everything, and I need at least 70, then I'm going to tell you, just round it up to 100. You know, I want you to be comfortable not getting by. You know what I'm saying? That makes sense, everybody. We'll throw in that this is really straightforward. So we'll do your top number. Market center cap in this example is 23. We're going to use the same number, so that's 123. So and then the average commission per transaction. Now in our area, it's going to be more like the 12.5 is the average sale price. Now, does that mean you always sell houses at that? No. And from that standpoint, it makes sense to round the other numbers up, right? To give yourself a little more of a buffer. But in this case, it's saying, so 12.5 is the average. So it's basically, if you go down here, so it's the total number, which is, if we use the example, 123, and we say, so equals, so 123. I'm just doing it here. So it's, rough. So if you do the math and then divide it up, it says 9.84 transactions. So you'd actually round that down or round that up to, you would need to do 10 to get to that goal. To make 100,000 a year in this example, using a $500,000 average sale price, 2.5% average commission, you're at 10 deals a year, 10 closed transactions. So what I would encourage you to do is on page 26, put your goal in there if you haven't already done it. If you may have jumped ahead on that. Put in the 23,000 for a cap. If you really don't, if your area, if the average sale price truly is a lot lower than that, and you tend to think you're going to probably be a little lower than that, then why don't you figure out, use a number more like 400 and then times 2.5%. Or you can use, if you like the easy math, do the 500 and do it times 2%, like a lower commission rate. That's one way to look at it and try to understand, okay, if I'm going to try to make somewhere near this number, and I know that there's going to be, like some of this is, I'm going to have some higher and some lower. I want to allow for that average. Then I better adjust a little bit to just give myself a buffer. I'm guessing you're going to come in at the bottom here, somewhere between 10 and 15 transactions a year. If you're playing in our market, you should be closing in on that pretty easily. It's hard to find a house. I mean, a starter house in Southeast Portland is 400 and something thousand, right? So unless you're just selling the cheapest condos in town, you might have to close a few more of those, but you'll still get there, right? In this example, it talks about an average sale price of, I think it's pretty dated, 200,000. That's where 21 transactions came in. I feel bad for those people that work down in the South, some places where, the average sale price actually is 150 to 200,000, and you see them on the leaderboards at these, like family reunion, these big, I would go to those things back in the day when you could go, and they'd be calling out, the Joe Smith team sold, 682 houses this year. And then they say for, their volume of this, and I'm like crunching the numbers going, oh my gosh, that's like 150,000 average per transaction. I mean, like sale price. I'm thinking that's a lot of work. Like they're busting their butt just to make that many transactions, and then they go, and the Sally Smith team in New York City, with the top GC or whatever, top GCI in the company, and she sold 6 houses, it's like, yeah, because all those places are multi-million-dollar homes, it's like, that's literally, it's kind of like that. And you just laugh. But it's really more relative. Whenever you see stuff online or hear people talk, or these forums on Facebook or whatever, don't get lost in the BS of your volume and your GCI, because it's only relative to your marketplace and your market area and what the game that you're playing in, it only makes sense to compare it within the market area that you work. And then you can compare it and say, okay, that makes sense. I'm selling, 20 homes and that person's selling 15 homes and we're in the same market. So I know what that sale price is and I know what we're doing. So anyway, any questions about that so far? Do you guys, and again, there's the business planning clinic coming up where you'll dig deep on this and actually like break out expenses and understand more about, what that looks like and be able to, truly dig deep and come up with numbers that are even more real. But at this point, does everybody have a number that since I just kind of talked through it, hoping you guys were doing it as I was talking, does anybody not have their number for any reason that they're willing to admit to? Okay. Let me ask, is anybody willing to pipe up and say, something that was kind of like either a mind blowing or kind of an aha is the term we use a lot. I didn't even know what that really means because a lot of things aren't an aha to me, but what I have realized is what we're really asking is there anything that you're like, yeah, wow, that really amazed me, or that really opened my mind up in a certain way? Is there anybody that has anything they want to share real quick or not? You guys good? Okay. I'll just keep talking because it's what you do on Zoom, right? You just sit and listen. If you're in the room, by the way, this would be whole different because you'd have the pleasure of me walking around and calling on you. And then you'd be like, oh no, you're probably glad this is on Zoom. Okay, so the best thing for us to do is figure out, from now that you have your numbers, where are we going, right? So page 27, let's jump over to page 27. And we will take a look at I like this quote. For every day you don't lead generate, 90 days later, you can expect no money. You don't want this to happen. I was going to make one of you read it, and yet I thought I need to hear it for myself. So I'm going to read it out loud for myself as much. So just so you guys know, I mean, I'm a realtor also, and I've been doing it, as I said, almost 20 years now. And this is hard for me as well. It's hard only because it's not hard. The discipline of it is hard. That's actually what I would say. And it's hard for a lot of us. I've talked to top agents, and you can get distracted with life. You can get busy doing other things. I coach my kids' sports, and you know what? That's super fun for me. And it's really easy for me to get caught up, like the end of, was it last year? I'm kind of losing track of time, right? Yeah, coming out of quarantine, I don't know if anybody has kids or was paying attention, but they took all the sports from one year and jammed them into like a short season for all, like everything was like back to back to back. So I was like, who's got time I was literally coaching every single night, sometimes 2 different sports a day. And I was like, it was great. And I loved it. And I was like, I ain't got time to work. I mean, this is, and I wanted to do that at a high level. So, and yet what happened was I could see my business falling off, back to this quote. I could see it and I could feel it. And I was like, okay, I cannot let this happen. So, let's talk about this, what these questions are on page 28 that we have here. I mean, let's look at what it asks us. It says, well, on page 27, I think it's important to see it before we go to page 28. If you ran it, so I think it's one good way to look at it, right? So 2 hours, how long does it take to make a widget, right? You have a certain amount of steps you need to put in. You need to, like the car that's being processed on the assembly line, right? There's a certain amount of time that it takes to get it to the end where it's a finished product. Truly, real estate, it's easy to get distracted by all these other things. And at the end of the day, we know that it's a process of spending time, finding the people that we need to talk to, lead generating, finding opportunities. Let's call it opportunities. So finding opportunities, and then turning those opportunities into an appointment, an actual like, hey, let's sit down and talk about this. And then out of those people, some of them, they're deciding, nope, we're not going to sell our house, or nope, you know what, now's not a good time to buy. You're right. I need to clear up my student loans and I need to finish my divorce and then I'll buy. Okay, great. So, but you turn all those appointments into actual agreements. So now you've got clients you're working with and their agreements. And of all those people that you've started showing houses to and writing offers, or those people that you've listed their house, those are all like agreements. Out of those agreements, you basically have to turn those into actually contracts that close. And really, if you look at that process, generally speaking, you're talking about, it says here about 90 days. That's why this whole idea of you go find a bunch of people, you work with them, you kind of put them through the pipeline of sales, and then you close them, and then you're like, oh wait, I don't have any business. So then you go back to lead generating again. It becomes this, when you hear about the roller coaster of real estate, that's what it is. It's, I found a bunch of people, I started working them, I ran these buyers around and whatever, and let's look at my house listed, and I'm there every other day staging and fixing things. And, I'm doing all this work. And so you're doing all this work and all this work and all this work on all these clients you're working with currently, and not doing anything to find the next one. Not finding, we use the word pipeline. You're not doing anything to fill your pipeline up. In that pipeline, you have to have clients coming in the one end. It's a funnel. We talk about it. You have to have them coming in the funnel on one end, in order to have actual clients that close contracts on the other end. So I know it's not sexy, it's not glamorous, and it is the business. We are in a business of filling the funnel on one end and closing on the other. The better you are at it, the less you have to put in the top to get the same number out the bottom. I mean, when you first start, or even the type of leads if you're buying leads from some of these random sources, you got to put in 100 to get one out the bottom. If you've really mastered the relationship side of the business and serving people well, then you are actually getting let's say you have like 10 go in and 9 come out, because you've really mastered that sort of side of the people that come to you constantly are committed to you because, that's what you've developed with them over time. So anyway, what I would say is, I'll just run through these following questions and I want you guys to be thinking about this and think if this is any different. How long on average, let's just say, how long on average does it take to get a buyer or seller to sign a contract on a sale or listing? I'm just going to tell you right now, the thing is, it can be so right now we would say for a buyer to get an offer accepted, I mean, you could get an offer accepted tomorrow, with a buyer, right? And yet the truth is you also might get beat out like 30 times or 20 times or 5 times, right? So the reality is, more than likely, if you're working with a buyer, you will probably go under contract within a month or two, within about 60 days. I think that's a reasonable number to use, also for the standpoint of having a buffer. So I would say give yourself 60-ish days. On a listing, I would say you're probably likely to go, so you could, again, from the time you meet with somebody, the time you get them to list their house, and then the time it closes. In this market, let's just say get a listing. So get a listing. Yeah, you should be able to have it signed within 30 to 60 days. Now, how long does it take for that deal to close? Well, in this market, it's as quick as 30 days. It often can run out to 60. I think if you want to budget your time and budget like the fact of whether or not you're going to make your house payment, then use 60 days as the number. Otherwise, you're counting on best case scenario constantly, and that's not safe if you want to pay your mortgage or your rent. So how quickly do you get paid on that? You get paid, in our market center, a direct deposit next day or the day after, business days, I would say. So last question, what will it take for you to get paid so you can fund your big why? Well, at the end of the day, what does it take to get paid? It goes back to that question we talked about earlier, and that is, you've got to lead generate every day. You've got to add people to your list of people that you're trying to connect with. So we'll call it your database or data bank or whatever. People call it different things depending on how the mindset how you're approaching it. And truly, you just need to get out there and be, in conversation, just be someone that provides value to people around you. It can be real estate related. It can, anyway, I can go off on that, but the point of it is be out there, every day, all the time, in some way, some kind of good way, some ideally even, like I said, bring value in some way that's authentic. The more authentic you are, the more people relate to you. You ever heard that, by the way? Has everybody ever heard that, more authentic? Does anybody here have a fear of being on video or video or chatting with somebody? Yeah. Does that fear drive you to think you need to prop yourself up or be something you're not on video often? It's like, oh, I need to come across just right or whatever. Well, if you've been around long enough and you've been paying attention, especially over the last pandemic time here, one of the greatest things about this is it really lowered that bar in a sense in everybody's mind. And now everybody's like, we just show up, here we are. We're just sitting in each other's kitchens, or whatever the room that you're in, right? And we're less afraid to just show up as we are. And you know what? The studies have shown that the more authentic, the more natural you show up as you, the more the people that will connect with you, right? You see people on these forums say like, oh, what kind of car should I drive? Or, oh, what kind of, should I wear a suit to this appointment? And it's like, well, if you're the kind of person that's connecting with those kind of people, then yes. If you're not, then no, because you're not going to connect with that person because that's not authentically you. That's not who you actually are. So you're going to pretend to be something, and then you might connect with them in that moment, but now that's not who you are, right? So now you've created a false connection. And so that connection is not going to last. at best, it's not going to last, So if you want that connection with, if you want your tribe, as Seth Godin calls it, to be the kind of tribe that basically is a cohesive group of people that care about you, that actually are you and your people, as we call it. It's your tribe is the term now. If you want that to function well and feed you in terms of supporting you in your endeavors here in real estate, then you have to be authentically you. And if there's parts of you that need improvement, then improve those things. I mean, if you like this, swear and cuss people out and, be mean all the time, okay, that's probably not a good thing to be focused on. But outside of that, I mean, heck, even the swearing, I'm not into it yet. There are people that's their tribe, I mean, that's fine. I coached an agent on my team a couple of years back, and a few years back, I guess now. She had a really, really interesting group of people, but you know what? They're all in it together. That was their tribe, and they loved each other for it. I mean, she was super successful in her niche because of that, and I just said, good for you for being a part of that. And don't try to be somebody else, don't try to be everybody's. Here's what I'm gonna tell you. Don't try to be everybody's realtor. You are not everybody's realtor. Don't let anybody in any class ever try to tell you that. You are not everybody's realtor. You are the realtor for the people that you're going to connect with and you're going to serve well. And that's what it is. So find those people, find who you are, and be that person. And back to our page 28, do it every day. And that's what'll fund your big why. If you do that every day and show up, then the rest of this stuff we're going to talk about doesn't matter. It's going to happen all by itself.
That's a great advice. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I love this class because it's the first one, and I'm super passionate about, just as you can tell, about people getting off on the right foot. I want you guys to succeed. And there's so much chatter about trying to pretend you're something, or what's the one, fake it till you make it. You know what? There's a reason that was put out there. The truth is that there's truth in it. But the truth in it is actually more, if you're faking it, the authentic self you want to be, then, obviously try to be that person and you'll become that person, right? But be your authentic person. Don't try to fake something else that you're not. That's never gonna have legs. It's never gonna stand up. So lead generation funnel I talked about before on page 29. The reality of this is, it says on the top, and it's a good visual, truly. Think of it that way. If you want to close 5, 6, 7 transactions by the end of the year, or by say you want to do 10 a year, let's say you do 1 a month. So here's a nice thing. 10 a year is what? That's not quite 1 a month. What if we just said 1 a month? I mean, truly, what does 1 a month sound hard or easy to anybody here? Does that sound, raise your hand if you think that sounds hard. Truly, it's not. Okay. Now, at the end of the year, when you've only closed 5, you're like, dude, you're having a self-talk in the mirror going, I was only 1 a month. What the heck? How did I not get to that? Well, how you didn't get to that is you didn't think of it in terms of you talked to 10 people that wanted to sell their house, and you thought every single one of those was going to be a closed transaction for you. That's what happened. So if you look at this, I want you to think of this funnel every time you're out there thinking, oh, okay, I got my 1 client for the month. Think of the funnel and think, okay, if I want to close 1 transaction every month, just 1, I got to figure, talking to 1 person that's closing to sell their house may not be enough. What if that 1 person changes their mind? What if they get whatever, life happens, all the different things in life that happen. That 1 person goes away. Now I'm hosed, right? So I want you to take whatever that is and look at there's business planning will help you figure out what the actual numbers are. But for you guys, I would say really easily, just think of it in terms of, I need to be working with twice as many people that I think are actually going to close a deal. When I'm at that point in that part of the funnel, I need to be working with twice as many as I think I actually need in order to have a hope of reaching my goal. Because when those few fall out, and then you have a weird month, and then you get sick, or your kid breaks your leg or whatever, all of a sudden you have a month off. Now you're just on goal, and you're going to be able to make it to the end. Does that make sense? If you plan for just enough all along and life happens, you'll fall short. And because this job doesn't let you show up for work every day, whether you're having a good day or a bad day, and collect the paycheck, you got to make it happen. You got to front end load all the time. If you want to close 1 a month, close 2 a month every month. And then when life happens and you close 0, now your average is getting closer to 1 a month. Right. So that's the idea of this funnel. one of the things that we want to do is encourage you in this class to actually put it into practice, right? So it calls for us to have you guys actually make calls during the class. It is 2:42 and this goes till 4. Am I right? Is that right? Yeah, it goes till 4. I like that. I like you guys doing it, and I know that you have time to do it outside of class. So what I'm gonna work towards is helping empower you and help you guys be really ready. And if at least for the way I want to run it, if we have time to do calls and come back, I will do that. Yet I don't want to shortchange any part of the teaching. If it's okay with you guys, I don't want to shortchange any part of the opportunity to share wisdom with you for sake of you guys making a few calls that you can do the second we get done. Is that okay with you guys? Okay. Or we can just do them live and everybody can critique everybody's calls. Oh, okay. And we will do that at some point. It's actually really good, by the way. You know, am I the only person that sounds scary to after doing it 20 years? Yeah. I don't like doing it, and I've done it for a long time and I still don't like doing it. And it's great because the people around you go, ooh, did you know you said this? Or do you know you said like 14 times in the first minute? And you're like, oh, did I? Yeah, did I? I did it again. So let's do this. Let's jump into page 31. Let's just go to page 31. And we will take a look at that. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up on moving my screens around. So your lead generation habit. Daily, add 10 new contacts to your database. Speak with 10 people in your database. Write 10 notes. Weekly, preview 10 homes. So if you think through that, can you all see, if you were to basically think about what I said before, if you want to close, let's just call it 1 a month. Actually, is there anybody here that wants to close more than 1 a month, that needs to close more than 1 a month? Okay, good. So you're looking at either a lower sale price, or you truly have a barometer of making 150 to 200 a year. Is that correct? Lauren?
120. And yeah, I think average here in Eugene is probably more like 4. A couple houses I'm dealing with now are lower than that. So
okay, good. So let's we could aim for you guys. Obviously, wouldn't hurt you guys to aim for more like 2 a month then, and then wherever that falls out, right?
Right.
If you set your goal for 2 a month and you end up at 1.5, then you're exceeding your financial goals, right? Okay, well, in order to do that, obviously you're not going to do it by talking to 24 people in a year, right? I mean, that makes sense to all of us. So the goal here, you see, add 10 new contacts to your database every day. Well, okay, that's kind of crazy and kind of scary, and I've gone through this exercise myself, and it's harder. It's hard, and yet it actually can be easy if you really step back and figure out, okay, what are the ways and that we can do that truly. The interesting thing is, there are ways to do it that aren't so scary, and we need to get past our limiting beliefs of, how do we really get to that? How do we end up at that number? The truth is, if we don't add to our database, then we run out of people to be in connection with. And if we don't have people to be in connection with, do we have anybody? I mean, we're going to talk to our 3 family members and shake down our couple close friends, and then what, right? I mean, let's be honest, So I would like to help you build a business that doesn't require you to shake down your closest friends, and that every one of those is a bonus to your life. Every one of those transactions is like thank you, just somebody that I know is calling me, and the rest of your business is running on the things that you're doing to bring value to people. So how do you add 10 new contacts? Well, there's all kinds of ways to do it, and we could, again, teach classes on just this topic. So, but what I will say is, for sake of the class today, don't let that number be daunting. Think of it in terms of, instead of a limiting belief of I can't do that, that's a lot of people, think of it in terms of, I've never, or maybe I haven't done that before yet. I'm going to start asking around and figure out how to do it. And I would challenge each one of you to take that statement and say, I'm going to ask around, or I'm going to reach out to agents in my office that are up there. And maybe I'll challenge all of you right now to a goal of saying, let's say by the end of the week that you have answered that question sufficiently to the point where you feel like you know many different ways that you could add context to your database. So that's my challenge to each one of you, is to do that. And then speak with 10 people in your database. That's a follow-up question to the same inquiry that you're out there. When you reach out to agents in your office, reach out to any of the higher producers for sure. And just say, hey, I'm new. How do I add 10 contacts to my database I was challenged to find a way to add 10 contacts to my database every day. What are some ways that you might suggest that I do that? And I would love to, if you're my coaching agents, I'm going to definitely challenge you to this. So if you have it already prepared, you're going to get off the hook on that right away. Speak with and ask that same agent, how do you speak with 10 people in your database every day? How do you do that? Well, I'll give you a tip on that one right now. A text string is currently a text or DM, direct messaging on whatever platform you like to be on, Instagram, Facebook, obviously, LinkedIn, actually, depending on where you came from in your professional career, LinkedIn can be a great source of DMing people. You're just reaching out. You don't have to sell them on anything. Just reach out and just say, hey, what's up? Or if you're on, like, LinkedIn's a great one, right? Because if you're at a point where you're prepared to like announce that you're being a realtor for whatever, I don't know where you're at in your profession, but I don't want to make assumptions. I want to support where you are and help you get to where you want to be. A part of that, at the right point in that journey, you put it on LinkedIn and it pops up, and guess what? 10 people in your database, you know what? You're going to have 10 conversations without trying in the course of a week or so, because people are going to reach out and say, oh, hey, because that's what people do. They go, oh, hey, congrats, or because it pops up on your LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn at all, it'll pop up and say, hey, John Smith just got a new job at WXYZ, and it just tells you that. It's like prompts you, like Facebook birthdays used to do to me. I don't know what happened with that. Maybe I got a setting wrong, but now I don't know anybody's birthday and it's driving me crazy. And that's another one. Go through your Facebook or Instagram. I'm not a proponent of Facebook because it's a complete time suck, but it also can be very beneficial. Jump on there. I know you can pull down the tab for birthdays. Put that as a to-do every day in the morning. Go in there and either send them a Facebook direct message, which is preferable because then the algorithm likes you guys talking, and anyway, or send them a text and say, hey, like I do that in the mornings. I send people I know text messages or DMs and say, hey, happy birthday, and whatever. I'd send them some kind of something. I can hit 10 like that, usually doing that kind of stuff. It's not hard. And guess what? Are you selling anything? No. Are you bringing value to their day by acknowledging something positive about their life, like it's their birthday? Yes. Now, does that feel better to reach out and wish somebody happy birthday, or hey, congrats on your new job, or hey, something? Isn't that a lot easier to think about how you can be nice and bring value, or share a quote, right? And I think we can all agree. So
are you saying the key then is to have Keller Williams at the bottom of that note? I mean, they know me. I have a lot of contacts, but they don't know me in this profession.
Yeah, I may be a little bit, some people will just get all over you about, like, yeah, tell me you're a realtor, go out there, write all these notes to everybody, tell me you're a realtor. I personally will coach more individually to that. Yes, that is a model. And at some point you cannot be a secret agent. Okay, let's just acknowledge that. You guys know that. You can't just pretend to not know anybody. But I'll tell you, Chris Suarez, do anybody here not know who Chris Suarez is? Okay, he's the guy that owns all of our offices and runs the network, and his team. He built a business not being the neighborhood realtor, not being the person in his sphere that is the realtor. Yet he was intentional about seeking out. He built a business though, and he built a very successful business because he was intentional about showing up as a professional and providing value to people that needed it. And so he ended up building a database of clients, and he kind of kept he's a few good friends kind of person. So he didn't have a big network of friends, and he wasn't even from Portland. He was actually from New York. So it was easy for him to not focus on that. I mentioned that because he did it just fine. He built a very successful they're the top agent or group of team in KWRP, which is the top office in the country, or in the country. It's the top office in the state of any company. And it's one of the top ones in the country as far as production. So with Keller Williams. So at the end of the day, what you just have to realize is it's not about you going out there and like just getting in everybody's face about being a realtor, yet you have to not be a secret agent if you're going to make that work. I mean, that's ultimately what you have to do. So you have to not be a secret agent. So how do you do that? When you're just connecting with people, you don't need to overdo it on the realtor thing. If you're in a position where, and for your personality where you can engage with people and say, I'm excited about this, or you have to find something and find a time in your transition here where you can find a way to share that information. Be excited about it, something, just share it in a way that is authentic to you. Don't be a secret agent, but you don't need to put it in your signature line on every single text either. Does that make sense? You guys tracking me with me on that? Okay. The last one, write 3 notes. I hope that's pretty self-explanatory. Anybody here not know what writing 10 notes a day means? Okay, so is there any excuse to not write 10 notes? Time. Okay, for me, it's time and time blocking. That's my excuse, and it's not a good one. And it's a limiting belief, and I need to get over that and do better. I could time block for it, and I haven't been. And so guess what? When you don't time block for something, guess what doesn't happen? The thing you didn't time block for. It's not on your calendar. Have you ever heard the saying, if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist? That is it for me. If it's not on my calendar, I have great intentions and it doesn't happen. So I got to put stuff like that on my calendar. Yeah.
Absolutely. One of my biggest challenges is time blocking or time management. I am poor with time management, but I just ran across Laura Vanderkamp, who Ben Kinney was the one who turned me on to her. And she talks about time blocking and how many hours you have in a week. And if you were to take all your sleeping and your working hours, there's 168 hours in a week, and 92 of them are sleeping and working. What are the rest of them? And how you manage that? Yeah. Laura Vanderkamp.
And the truth is that I have to stop sharing my screen because I'm on these big monitors, and if I can't look at you guys where my camera is. So the truth is you don't need a time block every moment of every day to be productive. Yet what you need to block are the times that you are going to work on things. So if you say, hey, I'm going to, again, I can teach a class on time blocking, but I'll give you a couple things. One is like, if you're you can't sit there and say, okay, this 10 minutes, I'm going to do this. And then this 10 minutes, I'm going to do this. And this 10 minutes, you could say, during this time, I'm going to do these things. I'm going to write my notes first. Like I'm going to lead generate at 4:30 p.m. because that's when I'm available. So then you could say, and the first thing I'll do is I'll do this, and then I'll do this, and then I'll do this within that block. But then you also need to allow for, if you're time blocking out your whole day, you have to allow white space, allow for somebody walking in, your kids walking in the room, or give yourself white space, block that time so that you have time for like Chris would be a good example. He has his every day is always scheduled, whatever, but he has white space in his days for the days that I send him a text and say, hey, I wanted to talk about something. He knows that he has a white space that he can respond to something like that he can we can catch up about something. That you have to time block in those spaces. You have to time block in the flexibility spots, basically, is the idea. So in that sense, your day is all time blocked, but don't over time block productivity, because what will happen is you'll break a heel on your shoe, and now you're off by half an hour, and your whole day starts collapsing because you didn't allow space for there to be a traffic jam, or you to get a flat tire, or fill in the blank. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, yeah, Courtney.
I know this was more about time blocking, but I would say that the notes are the thing that I've put off the longest at this point. And I was curious what your thoughts are about. I was trying to think of authentic notes, and actually social media for me and text messaging are the ways that I often write to people and comment about their lives. And so I was just trying to think if there was a way for me to, I don't know, what's your opinion about this? Because I sometimes get in the mail the little things that look like handwritten notes, but they're not, and I understand the point of it all is to kind of break up the normal way people are sending and receiving messages. But I don't know. I was hoping you'd tell me what I want to hear and tell me text count.
I may tell you. Hang on. Whoops. Hang on. Give me 1 minute. Sorry, speaking of, my daughter just got home, so checking in with her. It counts for you to be a contact. So if we're tracking our numbers, which is actually the next one, in the tracker, there's the tracker here. I'm going to pull it up. Whoops. If we're tracking numbers in this, so hang on a second here. Can move this over here. Share screen. If we're tracking numbers, then, you know, if you look at the different things here, preview, write, make, connections, add to database. Are you guys seeing this? Did I get that right on screen? Yeah. So part of these connections, and the connections can be you connecting with people like on chat or whatever version of chat you use. That's legit. I mean, because that's a connection. It's a two-way conversation. So that's what for it to, I don't want to say count, but for it to, you don't want to cheat yourself. So if we're talking about accountability to numbers and we ask you what your numbers are, just tell me 0 if it's 0, because here's the thing, you're only cheating yourself. It's like, it doesn't matter to me. It matters to me because it matters to you. But from that standpoint, it's not like, you know, I'm paying you per lead. It's like, it needs to count. So if the goal is that they count towards something that's moving the needle in your business, then do what works. Right now, what we know to be true is the top one, you have to add 10 to the database. We know adding to your database will give you more people to connect with. We know that making a two-way connection with somebody, whether it's on the phone or text, DM, whatever, makes a difference. We know that that writing some sort of like personal connection with somebody via some sort of note or letter is what they call a pattern disrupt right now, because not a lot of people get mail. So it's actually a much higher form of communication, because what it says to people is, wow, they took the time to actually write me a letter or a note. Like it's a pattern interrupt is the term, because it's outside of the norm for what people are used to receiving. You should do it by hand and make it sound personal at all. And then preview 10 homes a week. That's for you to have essentially the wisdom of being successful in this industry. So back to your question, let me ask you, if you think about the adding to database and making connections with people and writing notes, do you feel like you can shortchange some sort of written communication or trade some of that and still be effective? Or do you feel like, you know, you're in doing so, you're gonna focus heavily on one, but leave out an opportunity in the other? I mean, what's your feeling on that for yourself, Courtney?
Well, thanks for asking. I think for me, I do really gravitate toward social media, teaching, you know, coming across as an expert in the field, and beefing that part of my business up. I think it's amazing how much time that actually does take, though. And so I'm just trying to make sure I really am focusing on the things that are going to generate leads for me. And since that's where I go to find information about people, you know, find out about them, then that's where I think people will go to find out about me. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing about the notes that I think I'm having the hardest time with is, you know, just everything does take time, like you were saying, and I'm trying to make sure I'm prioritizing the minutes that I do have. So, but I definitely understand the pattern interrupt. Like, I've not received a handwritten note from a friend, and I can't even tell you the last time. So
anybody here received a handwritten note in the last week from anybody? Woohoo, 1, 2. I have not. The last few I usually get are from my office, typically. But it's, you know, it is a pattern interrupt, and where we find success in getting into people's heads is using pattern interrupts, right? If you study the social media ads and all that, that's where the success works. And if you do it in the right way, it's not simply a shock value pattern interrupt. It's something that causes them to tune in and listen more, right? So I don't disagree with your effectiveness and why you maybe should focus on that. I would totally support that. I mean, as your coach, I would say absolutely do it. And I would say, if you could look at the people you are reaching out to and know that, okay, like I can personally tell you from experience there are people that I know that aren't on social media all the time, that just, or maybe not at all, for example, and they're high functioning individuals who are good people. They're just choosing not to be engaged in that. And so I look at it and say, do I send notes to everybody? Well, maybe. Yet I know there's people that have birthdays. I know that they probably don't get birthday cards or anniversary cards, or, you know, if depending on, this depends on your personality. So some people are fun. They're more their personality would be reflected by sending some goofy St. Patrick's card. Like all their friends would be like, oh, that's so-and-so, like that's them, right? If that's you, then do that sort of thing. And it's an easy way to knock out, I didn't do 10 a week, but I did 30 this month, right? Whatever, that kind of thing, you know? So look at where you can send something that is a connection point for the people who aren't on the internet. And then, yeah, focus your efforts on it where you know you get leads. Remember that a lot of these activities are not simply about connection lead. Yes, that's important. And yet there's different legs of a stool as it's talked about. One of your legs if the stool is you and your brand promise of who you are that people are going to connect with, one of those legs has to be building recognition, like basically building, essentially it's like a rapport relationship with people. And brand, it's like you have to reinforce the brand of you just showing up, like who you are. And if you just reach out a note and say, hey, thought of you, hope all is well, hope you're having a great week, or whatever, whatever it is. I mean, I don't know, doesn't matter. Hey, you know, like just send something to them that based on who they are. And they'll just be like, wow, that was really nice of Courtney to reach out like that. That's kind of cool, you know? And so and then guess what? You can do that in your car while you're waiting somewhere. You can do that, get to an appointment early. And I hate being early because I feel like it's a waste of time. I'm just going to admit that. And yet what I found is effective is I keep some note cards in my car. And if I go early, then I'm not wasting my time. I sit in my car and I write it to the last second, then I walk in late again because I wrote one too many cards. But, you know, that's like an opportunity to knock out one or two. I mean, it works. It totally works. And it's totally easy. And you don't even have to time block for it. Just add them to your list of things that you just do driving around. I mean, whatever, figure out your life and figure out where you can fit it in, and then figure out who you can do that to, who you could send a note to, who is going to appreciate it. You know, I kind of went on about that, but is that making sense, everybody? And can you see how you can utilize those different tools for your own success? I hope.
Absolutely. Already thinking about the planning to send some cards and notes to people I know.
Yeah,
it's a great idea.
I mean, your goal is one, to bring value to them in some way. So how can you compliment them? How can you just do something that makes them feel good? Anything, right? It's not about you, it's about them. So find anything that you can do. You're not sending them a piece of mail just to get a piece of mail is actually meaningful to some people. I mean, think of these older people that sit around their homes and don't get any mail. Like, I don't know. I mean, right? So there's that. And then secondly, it's just reminding them that you exist. I mean, I'm still here. That's all you're doing in a nice way, you know, really. I mean, a buddy of mine would send out, all he ever did was send out inspiring little thoughtful, intentional, personal quotes to people at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning when he got up. That was his, like an hour of how can I love on others today? His network of people was so deep and so it was crazy. And that's literally all he did. He'd never return your call, but he would send out these messages and people just felt so valued because he took the time to do that. And he actually thought about these people and thought about what they were into, and he would send them this stuff. And that's all he ever did. People just loved him, you know, but sometimes it's so simple. We just overcomplicate it, you know. Is that
Eric,
helpful?
I have a question for you.
Sure.
I need your advice. Often, I would say people are hesitant to give out their email addresses, right?
Yeah.
Even your friends. So, for example, I have neighbors who I know in my apartment buildings, and I have their phone numbers. And now I'm a realtor, and how to get their email address, how to put them in my contact database. Should I ask them, would you like to receive an updates from me via email, or what would be the best way?
The best way, if you're ever going to communicate with anybody that you haven't been communicating with, lock this in right now. do it in a way that you are asking permission to be in communication with them. So there's a term, permissive marketing. It's however, I mean, there's scientifically, I don't know what the number is, but let's just, for sake of our conversation, it's 10 times more effective, whatever, it doesn't really matter. It is more respectful, number one, and number two, because it's more respectful, it's way more effective. And it sounds funny, but if you say to somebody, it's this, hey, Daisy, I'm going to call and follow up with you tomorrow on this because I don't have time, or I don't know the answer. Is it okay if I follow up with you tomorrow? And you say, yeah, go ahead. And then now she just gave me permission to call her tomorrow. Like, it's so funny. And then I call her tomorrow, even though I'm selling her used hats, she just told me to call her up. She said, okay, yeah, call me tomorrow. I mean, right. So now she's going to take my call because she just said I could, like, subconsciously her brain is like, I told him to call, he's calling, I guess I got to answer. Like, that's what happens. And that's in the worst case of people don't want to hear from you. It works. If you do it in a more positive sense, like you're talking to somebody, like, hey, Stella, like you run into the store, like, oh my gosh, that's cool. Like, hey, you know what? I got to finish shopping. If you want, I'm happy to send you this more information, or hit whatever it is. Try not to be too salesy about it. Like, yeah, I can look up that house and see what's going on with it. What's the best? Here's a phrase. What is the best email for me to send that to? So you're not saying what's your email. You're saying what is the best email for you to. And two things there. One, you're asking them and giving them a choice about how to respond, right? And you're also asking them for actually a valid email and asking that question because you're trying to give them something that they want that is of value to them. So of course it better be a good email, not like Mickey Mouse at mickeymouse.com, right? Because they want to get it from you because you just entered into this verbal dialogue or DM dialogue. So, now they send you their best email address to get that to, and then follow up with them on whatever you told them you'd send them.
Yes, that makes total sense. Thank you.
We make it complicated when we get over salesy about it. You know what I'm saying, you guys? It's like, don't get all salesy about it. Just be really nice about it. And people will give you all their data. Like, I would really love to send you a Christmas card, Daisy. Is it okay if I have your whatever mailing address you use so I can send that to you? And then you're going to say, sure, why not?
Nice.
I mean, it's actually not that hard.
Yeah.
There's a touch. You can call everybody that and ask them, like, I love sending out Christmas cards. Would it be okay if I send you a Christmas card? Sure. Okay. What is the best email? What is the best address to send that to? Oh, use my PO box. Great. Okay. So you don't have their home address, you have a PO box, but now they use a PO box. So now you don't bother sending mail to their home address because it probably doesn't receive mail. Does that make sense? I mean, it's really that easy, honestly. It truly
Eric,
is.
I used the 5 calls I made today.
Yeah.
I was looking for their addresses. These are people I had only in my phone with their phone numbers. And I am definitely planning to send out holiday cards this year. And I'm just also mentioning, is it okay if I throw in a few of my business cards, do you mind handing them out to your friends if you know of anyone who's buying or selling? Cool.
Permissive. If you get permission, there's you'll hear about it in other classes. There's this psychology that happens. And if you study marketing and stuff, it's just a reality. If you ask for permission and they give it to you, it's really hard for them not to do it. If you start paying attention to people that do that to you and how you respond, it happens. We all do it. I mean, this isn't new, right? So this is like tried and true basic psychology stuff, So I know this is helpful to you guys. So if you want to talk about it, we can, and I want to not shortchange anything. We got about an hour left. I wanted to give you guys space to have a break if you need it, since we're kind of in we have another hour to go. Well, what time is it? Okay. Less than an hour. Do you guys need like 5 minutes now? Would that be helpful to anybody to just get a glass of water or anything? Yes. Okay. Let's do, okay. I've got 3:11. How about can we do 3:15, like 4 minutes? Is that good enough? Okay. Let's do that. And actually, if anybody's still on here and wants to ask me any questions, feel free. Okay. So when we were just talking there, well, first of all, I guess if there's anybody have any like sort of what we call ahas, that's the term I'll just call it an aha because that's what everybody else is going to say too. But any of those, did you have any kind of like, whoa, my mind was blown, or kind of moments that you really want to like share before we've already kind of been moving into the next section, which is the word that we use here is scripts. And
so,
yeah,
sorry. I didn't really have any like super big ahas, but just like kind of a reminder that like what you're talking about, not everyone's on social media. There's a lot of people that I have in my database that they're older, they're not, and just like reaching out to those people is not going to take me that much time, but it could benefit them. So just going to work on that more and not just take the easier. It's the easier route for me to just message someone on Insta, that takes me 2 seconds, but like the more like focused and I had the word intentional, yeah, like using intentional like actions and doing things more specific that are going to lead to the results that I want.
Yeah, it's the idea that I mentioned before, and you'll hear it referred to. There's a stool. You're going to sit on a stool. If it's just got one leg, you're out, you're having to balance constantly and hoping that one leg doesn't break, and otherwise you go down. You got 2 legs, it's pretty unstable. But when you get to 3 or 4 legs on your stool, you can stay sitting on it if one leg breaks. And the idea of your business needs to look like that. There needs to be different pillars is another term people use, another pillars of your business that support like think of it as like pillars supporting the roof. If you have only one and something, for example, a couple of days ago, those of us who are on all the Facebook, workplace, which I was as well on another, anyway, when that went down, it went down. Like there was no DMing, all of your lead gen went to zero. If all you were relying on is Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, anything workplace, Facebook workplace. So and then also as another example, like I know some people on some of the forums I'm on that are really successful in their Facebook advertising. They do actually produce a lot of leads. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I don't want to say are most scared of, because that probably isn't accurate, but they know they have to have other legs of their business, because every so often Facebook gets somebody somewhere in Facebook gets a bee in their bonnet and locks up their account. And it happens. If you go on these forums and read, it happens all the time. People are like, well, just got locked out of Facebook. I can't do ads anymore. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. I'm messaging everybody. Nothing's, like, and so now your lead gen went to zero because that you were counting on that one leg. So that's just from the standpoint of running your business smartly. And then there's also the point that you brought up there, Hannah. It's almost like you're orphaning people if you truly are like, I'm just going to only do one thing. Now, that's not to say that it isn't effective. And, like you're saying, Courtney, if that's what you're doing and it's working, do it, 100%. And just be thinking about, are there other people that I am in contact with that I could share the love and find a way to communicate with them in a platform that they like, I know a couple investors, they are not on social media. And they buy and sell homes, but they're not on social media at all, So
something you said that really spoke to me was also that I don't have to do it. It's not necessarily every single week the same amount, but if I were to set a day each month aside for really just cranking out a bunch of handwritten notes, then I could like even imagine myself like making it a special day each month where that's my commitment. And it's like to myself, like set myself up in like a really nice, maybe a coffee shop setting where I'm not like being interrupted by the kids and crank out more than the 10 a week at that point.
Totally. If I'm a coach working with you to help you be successful, and that is a model that works for you, that you do it once a month and you have because that's actually more what you see. I mean, people do handwritten notes, and there are reasons why you'll find as you go along, there's a reason why you could send a thank you card or whatever. You can find those probably in every day. If you were to say, I'm going to look for the obvious ones in my normal daily routine, and then I'm going to have a one day a week or a month, I'm going to sit down and even once a quarter, I'm going to send cards out to all these people for because I'm really into that. And I want to do a really cool cards for this holiday, whatever, right? I would say, great, do it. Your average per every year is going to be exceeding what you need it to be. And that's great. The goal is breaking down your goals into manageable, monthly and weekly and daily activities. What happens is you say, oh, I'll write those later. Yeah, I'll do 20 tomorrow. Yeah. And then Friday you're like, okay, I haven't done any. So now I got to do 50, whatever. Right. So that's what happens is you don't do them. And then now you're trying to do a cram session to catch up. So, if you can be intentional, do it, for sure. For sure. Speaking of being intentional, what we were talking about before in terms of how you communicate and asking for permission, there's a term that's often used called scripts. I personally am not a big fan of using the word script because I think for some of us that has a negative, we feel negatively about using the word script. Yet what's true is that let's use a different words for that word. So if we are intentional about our dialogues with people, if we are intentional about the way we speak to people, that is a script, being intentional. So if I'm being intentional about how I talk to somebody because I want to communicate with them in a way that's comfortable, that builds rapport, that listens to what they're saying, and then actually like responds to what they're saying, we use the word scripts, and most of the scripts that we are using are really built based on that idea. It's built on the idea that, it's not about us delivering our sales pitch. And I'm sure we can all think of examples of when somebody calls us and it's a pitch, versus where somebody is truly like trying to help use an intentional dialogue to help move us along in that, if we look on page 38. What I want to ask is that one of the people that's not on how about Trevor? Trevor, if you're listening, do you have a book in front of you that you could read?
Number 2. I am here. I can put my camera on. I was just had it off.
Benefits of scripts. Read us the first 3 benefits of scripts.
Scripts give us to do our job. They allow us to stay focused and in our present moment. And they provide consistency in what we say and do.
Does that anybody disagree with any of that? Or, I mean, you can if you want, but I think those are anybody have any other thoughts, some other benefits of scripts that you want to throw out there? No?
I think if you come across something that you might not, if you're not prepared on what to say in a certain situation, then you can kind of end up sounding dumb. So if you have gone over the scenario of, if they say this, then what will I say? You're going to be more confident because you already know in the back of your mind, I can respond with this. So
yeah,
it could benefit. You're prepared. You're more prepared.
Yeah, I mean, it says, the first one says scripts give us the confidence to do our job. That's a really broad statement. The truth is if we dig down on that a little or a lot, the truth is exactly what you're saying, Hannah. There are so many times where just having a sense of if I'm being intentional about communicating with you, Deanna, then I'm actually thinking about, okay, she's going to ask me about how to market her house. She's going to, whatever. It's like, she may ask me questions about the neighborhood and I'm calling to follow up on this lead. Like, you need to be thinking about, okay, what sort of questions do I need to ask? And then I need to listen for their answers. And then based on what they say, I need to respond in a certain way. Otherwise, in the general sense, I'm not doing my job. More particularly, I'm now off, I'm on my heels a little bit and I'm not feeling good about it. And I'm not like, I don't know, like maybe I missed something or maybe I didn't ask them a good question. And so all that stuff gets lost, right? And so if we want to be effective, right? If we want to truly provide that servant level of service so that we are really helping them, if we believe that them working with us is going to help them reach their goals, if we actually believe that, then having the intention, having the dialogues that we've learned, that we've sort of, I hate to say practice, but really it's practiced in your head that you feel good about, we're able to have that, right? I mean, wouldn't you agree? We're able to actually have those intentional dialogues and have them be effective. I mean, I believe, and I've seen that to be the case. And I will say, even for myself, if I'm not practicing those intentional dialogues, especially around certain subjects that I may not speak about a lot, it's easy for it to fall off, What are some limiting beliefs that you have? Well, first of all, you have any questions about that?
I have a question, Eric. Is there a place on our portal where we can download all the scripts? Are they all in one place? Or where do we get them?
Okay, great question. There are scripts all over the place.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Tom Ferry, Keller Williams has all sorts of, I have to apologize. I don't know off the top of my head where to go in and find it. And I don't want to do that. Well, look for it while you guys are on here right now, because it's not using your time well. Do me this favor. If you guys want to just outside of class, like go research some. And if you want to, next time you could always come on next class or next Ignite, or when you're all on, if you want to provide value to all of us, what you can do is go on and say, hey, last class we talked about scripts. I found some great ones here, and drop some links in there and let people, you guys can brainstorm that yourself. And then we can obviously speak into that as well. There are, outside of Keller Williams, there's a lot. And then within Keller Williams, within our class courses and all that, there's a ton of different, there's so many different script things. I don't even know. I'd have to dig around in there and pull up. There's probably links there because they're inside of everything. So everything, even as you go through Ignite, we're going to go into dialogues that are intentional around working with buyers and working with sellers. And, we're going to go into a lot of those. So unfortunately, I can't give you one answer.
When I was browsing information on portal, I came across a couple of scripts, but they were not located in the same location. So I guess, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry if that's not really a specific answer, but do you guys feel confident you can root around online and find them? Okay. We all made it through college. I think we could probably, I myself would do the same thing. I've saved stuff on my computer, but I would go on and start looking myself if I was looking for something. So if we jump to page 39, let me just look at the time. So it's 3:30. I want to be respectful of you guys. I think we're good here, so we can talk about the next few sections over this next 30 minutes. So learning scripts, learning these intentional dialogues. We talk about memorizing them. So one of the things that's hardest, a limiting belief that was on the prior page, for me, a limiting belief is that a script sounds canned. And what I had to realize, and it took me years because I pushed back on that. And what I realized is, like, there are many times where we read a script and we think, oh, I wouldn't say it that way. what we have to understand is most often we have to trust in the system. And if you're not sure, talk to a good coach like myself or somebody that is really versed in it. A lot of times these dialogue strings or these intentional like dialogue building kind of scripts are built around certain like fundamentals. So building some sort of rapport, like some sort of acknowledgement of something maybe that they said, leading people down a path intentionally, like, and if that, sometimes if it feels really awkward, it's because maybe that's not a way that you normally speak. You can internalize and use your own way of saying it in a certain tonality and in certain emphasis. And the way that's going to happen is if you memorize the pattern that you're actually, so eventually you memorize the script, so you understand the pattern of it, then you can tweak it and not lose the value of the pattern, if that makes sense. So the only way we can do it though is we have to memorize them. You have to say them enough times that it becomes to, I think, whatever one of you said, that somebody asks you a question or hits you with something, you need to be able to just respond and not be like, oh yeah, there was a good way to talk about that, and I don't remember what it is, you know. And that happened to me enough times that I said, that's it, I'm going to learn this stuff and I'm going to do it, you know, because I was tired of not having a good answer for that, or I was tired of fumbling around and saying, yeah, oh yeah, it's a good question, you know. So I just didn't like not being able to show up in a good way to provide value to my people. So I learned how to say stuff differently, right? So that's the value of you know, memorizing them, internalizing them. Truly, I would say the best thing to do is, whether you want to call them scripts or call them dialogues, the best thing is to learn them, understand them. If you truly are pushing back on the idea of using scripts, then I challenge you to understand why the pattern of language, of dialogue that I use the word dialogues because I just don't like scripts. Learn the pattern of dialogues that was built out, and so that you know why it's being said that way. So learn them, memorize them, and if you have to, the best way is to just internalize them to a point where then you can start speaking in a very natural way while delivering the thing that you need to deliver to the you know, to dialogue with somebody, right? So it talks about on page 40, you know, there's all kinds of ways you can get into the psychology of memorization, but of course you have to read it out loud, repeat it, you know. I know this sounds silly, but do it in a mirror. Have you ever heard somebody on the phone and you can tell if they're smiling or not? That just on the phone, you know,
Yes.
like, yeah, that is real, you guys. It is very, very real. Don't resist that. I mean, don't try to resist that, because it is absolutely real. Say these things out loud, say them out, you know, repeat them. And then the more that you repeat it, the more you feel comfortable with it, and practice with other people. And don't be afraid to, you know, I shouldn't say nobody. A lot of times people come back and say, oh, I don't want to do script practice, it's embarrassing. Well, would you rather be embarrassed in front of your client, or would you rather be embarrassed in front of your fellow agent who's doing the exact same thing with you? I mean, truly, right? If we're both here to learn, would you rather practice with me, or would you rather practice with somebody that you don't even know and you're about to blow a $12,000 commission? Which would you rather practice with? Truly.
Makes sense.
It took me a while to answer that, honestly. I'm just being honest with you. I had to say, I'd rather practice on the client. And then after you lose a few times, you go, all right, I'll start practicing with agents, because I'd rather not lose these opportunities over and over again because somebody else is better at communicating with clients than I am. That just sucks, you know? So that's my encouragement to you. Don't do as I did.
I was just going to say, I don't know if she's getting the like daily agenda emails or not, but there's, at least for our market center, there's like script practice, and then there's like a weekly script. So they just focus on one script that week, and there's like a link so you can see whatever script they're going to work on, and you can access your scripts that way too.
Yeah, reach out to your, thank you. Yeah, you're right. The network is putting that out. So when there is somebody, I think actually that my predecessor at Sunset Corridor is still doing it, Matt, I think. The funny thing about, I was talking about it, he does it because it's good for him. I mean, he's getting better at it. If you want to get better at leading scripts, grab a couple of your friends and say on here and just say, or people that could become your friends, and say, hey, let's just practice scripts like a couple times a week. Let's just throw me an objection and throw me just pretend like you're calling me out of the blue and I'm one of your long lost friends, and don't stumble through the conversation. Do that with people that are here to help and support you, and do it enough times that you like I have guys and gals that I know in the industry. We'll call each other out of the blue and throw something out at them. And it's like, are you on your toes? Can you handle that? Can you handle an objection? Can you, like, I'll just pick up the phone and say, oh, this is Eric, and say, I can't sell. I'm not going to sell right now because I think the market's going up more. And I'm like, it's like wherever my head's at, I have to be able to pull it out and handle the objection. And it works, man. The more I practiced it. And now I can just, I'm not saying I'm amazing at it yet. I'm saying because I practiced so much, it got to the point where I can answer it in my own words and still use the same dialogue pattern to achieve the results that I'm trying to achieve, So it does work. It just seems like seems artificial at first, yet it does, and it can work the more you get comfortable with it, honestly. So
what is the answer for someone saying that they want to wait more because they expecting the market to go higher? What is the answer?
Would you when do we know the market has peaked?
It's hard.
Yeah, we know it's peaked because we see it going down.
Right.
So now you've missed the peak. So do you want to wait for it to peak, or do you want to pick the right time for you based on your goals? Do you need to move this year, next year, or are you just going to wait and at some point move when you feel like it? What's more important?
Next time you were ready this time. I see that.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a good question. The question is really, it's a question back to them. I mean, it's what's your goal? What's your where do you want to go with the sale of your home? Well, I need to move sometime in the next couple of years. I need to get somewhere, right? Whatever it is, Anyway, yeah, no, that's fair. I was listening to you as an instructor, not as a person taking that call. But what I would say is this: it is uncomfortable, yes. It is strange, yes, and it's worth it. I'm just going to tell you guys that it's worth it. It's worth it. Do it with people you're comfortable with. Do it with your kids. Their kids can tell if you have kids or have good friends or friends' kids. Seriously, it's fun. It's fun to do on them and have them like goof around with you on it. And I know it sounds weird, but you'll know what I'm saying. Get into it, get working on it, and then just see how it goes. Find a partner, find somebody that is worth, somebody that you don't mind spending the time investing with them and make it happen. So let's do this. They have it in the book that we could practice these scripts. I would like to give you guys the opportunity to your adults, you can practice these. I would challenge you to find somebody that you can practice them with in this group would be great, because then we're all on the same page and you're going to walk through this journey of Ignite over the next so many weeks. So it would be great if you had some people in this group that you could do it with. And if I was to challenge you based on my having been around this stuff for a long time, because we have this Zoom environment available to us and we're all in the network, my challenge to you would be, if you can bring yourself to do it, reach out to one of the other members in here that's not in your market center and just, try to connect and say, hey, let's just, once or whatever it is, every so often, let's go through some of these scripts and let's talk about them. And then let's reach out to our, respective coaches and help us figure out how to internalize that and feel better about what we're saying, because it just doesn't feel good, or it does feel good and this is why it feels good, or whatever, So that would be my challenge to you guys. The end of the day, if your goal is to make money in this business, you have to be in conversation with people. If you're going to be in conversation with people, you got to be intentional, natural and intentional at times about it, because they will ask you questions. If you say to me, how's the market? I would say it's great. And that's a script. Why is that a script? Well, because you could have answered that all kinds of ways. Yet what we know is answering it any other way other than it's great is basically like leading them down a path. And you say, well, are you looking to, you turn it around, ask them a question. Are you interested in selling or buying right now? Or what are you thinking? Why are you asking? Because that's ultimately you in your mind wanted to answer, oh, well, okay, so the market's going up, or yeah, well, we have 3 months of inventory or whatever. But the truth is, if you're going to help them, you have to know where they're coming from. And so all I did was give you the script for how to respond to somebody that asks what the market's doing. That's the script. But really what it is it's an intentional set of dialogue around finding out what their needs are, finding out, turn it around. The intentionality there is finding out what's going on with them instead of you spouting off whatever information you think you have in your head. Is that, you know what I'm saying?
That's great. Thank you.
That's why scripts are important. Those kinds of intentionality because I'll tell you my natural inclination, I'm a problem solver. Somebody asks me something, boom, I'm right. I'll give them the answer. And it's challenging for me to stop and go, okay, wait, I need to find out what's really going on with them before I answer. Because now I'm answering based on my assumptions, and that's not helping them. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And a script, I hate the word, but an intentional dialogue, a script is gonna give you that pattern in your mind to be able to do that for that person. Is that you guys got that? Okay. Let's do this. Let's jump to the accountability section on page 47, because everybody likes to be accountable, right? Okay. I like this slide, so I want to show it to you guys because it is truly. What is the one thing, we talked about one thing earlier, I do believe. What is the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? Who here has, I show of hands, who's heard that before? And if you haven't, either way, I would highly encourage you to get that book. That book will change your life in every aspect of your life. You don't have to stay in real estate. You can do whatever you want. It'll help you raise kids. It'll help you run your nonprofit. It'll help you in it'll help you with your workouts. It will help you. That book will change your life. I guarantee you it will change your life. You buy it and tell me it's not changing your life, and I will give you the money for it. I'm telling you that book will change your life. And it's not a deep read. It's almost like not a workbook, but how would you say, like a reference handbook almost. It's almost like that. So get it, digest it, and let it change your life.
Say the book title again.
It's on, is it on the screen here? Can you see my, yeah, it's The One Thing is the book.
It's actually called One Thing.
Yeah, it's called The One Thing. That is the name of the book.
Perfect, thank you.
That's a picture of it up in the corner of the screen if you happen to be looking, and if anybody that's looking at the computer, which hopefully you are. I
had the grid in front of the
oh, no worries. I know I keep doing this, which then means you get to see me seeing you, right? So let's see here. The reason that's important, though, and the reason I break that up is we talked about accountability before, right? So, you know, when you think about the tasks, so if we now focus on real estate for a minute here again, it's not just, I mean, we're accountable in many areas of our life, like I talked about earlier, okay? You guys, I know you agree with that. If we're going to be successful in our business, we know we're successful driving to work and back by being accountable to the framework of driving on the roads. We know that works. We know that running a real estate business has certain aspects that will help you drive towards, that will drive you, you'll be successful if you are accountable to staying in those, to doing those things, right? To doing those tasks. Are they exactly the same for all of us? No, I want to make sure and make that clear. If you will, the steps are really the same, but where you are in that, like what is effective for you when you say like you have to lead generate, well, lead generation is this giant like word that means all sorts of different things, right? So there are steps, there are things, there are tasks, ultimately, the tactics, strategies to get to your goals, right? There are things that each of us will do slightly differently based on who we are and what works for us or what we need to do. Yet we do know that there are things that do work. So we're going to focus on things that work, and we're not going to reinvent it, because why is the point in reinventing it here? So we need to, so if we're going to use our why to motivate us, and we're going to lay out a plan, we're going to find a way that works. We look at page 47 here. It says, well, the accountability I've talked about, that they develop a prioritized plan of action. So here's where the rubber meets the road, right? If we're going to really move from that E to P, if we're going to just, so what's natural for you, Courtney, is what you're doing now with social media. What's P for you, purposeful, is you doing those other things that don't seem as easy and natural. For each of us, that's different, right? For some of us, social media may be actually hard, and writing a fancy, fun, note on a note card that I get from my friend who makes artistic notes is easy because I do that now, or I like doing that anyway. Well, do that, and do that at a high level, and add some of these other things in, right? So what we need to have is a prioritize. So the one thing, what is the one thing well, it says, what is the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary. So what is that one thing? Well, I'll tell you, coaching to the one thing is hard, and there's a whole coaching things around it. And if you nail down living your life out of the one thing, man, nothing will get in your way. I'm just telling you, it is freaking phenomenal. And for most of us, it's a lifelong journey to figure out how to do it, to work on it. It doesn't come naturally. For a lot of us, it doesn't come naturally. So on page 48, you can see here, make a list. I'm just going to go through these easily. And then number 2, you got to prune that list. This is coming out of the book, basically. And then you prioritize. And I don't know if you've ever seen the 4 quadrants, urgent, important, not not urgent, those 4 quadrants. And the problem is, if we live out of, the idea is to do the things that are important, but not yet urgent. And that's, so before they become urgent, because when they become urgent, then now they're no longer, we don't get to prioritize them. They're now prioritized for us, So the reality is, we have to be thinking about what are the things that are important. What are the, I don't know if you've all heard they talk about, like, we're all juggling these glass balls, or these balls, and some of them are glass, and some of them, those glass balls are the ones you just can't drop. And the more crazy your life gets, the more you really have to focus on, okay, are there glass balls that I may need to set down, because I can't juggle all of them, because sometimes it feels like I'm holding all of these kinds of things. They're all so important. I can't drop any of them. So we need to have a heart-to-heart with ourselves and get coaching and help with it. Truly, for most of us, that's actually what you need, is to get coaching and help with it. Because for the vast majority of us, and I can see in the messaging to me, it is not just you, it is all of us that really need somebody to help us ask those questions of ourselves and say, okay, raising my kids, for example, for me, obviously raising my kids is something I'm not going to give up, and it's a glass ball that I can't drop. But how do I prioritize that ball? And so then it becomes, what are the most important areas of investing in my kids that I need to focus on? Not just always being around for my kids, because I could do that all day, right? I could say, oh, it's all important. Well, is it? So we could, I don't want to spend too much time in the weeds on this, because it's a whole nother, once again, this is like, I'm kind of an intro to all these different topics for you guys. But let's say this, I want to challenge you guys to come up with an action plan. On page 49, it has these different checklists of how to kind of mentally go through, okay, what's, is returning a call to a person inquiring about a listing, is that important? Is that so? Well, yeah, of course it's important. And is there a sense of urgency around it? Well, yeah, because it should be done sooner rather than later. Schedule a training on a class on contracts. Is it important for you to continue to hone your skills? Yeah, it's important. And is that something you have to do right this minute? If there's other pressing things, no, that's a ball that you can let drop at that moment. Your daily 10-4 is really like your prioritization. It is, if you want to be successful, you're going to make time to plan and prioritize your day. That's just the bottom line. I mean, that's just how it is. Order new business cards. Is it something you need to do? Yes. Is it really your 20% are important? Not really, even though it seems like it is. And it's one of those things that, as long as you get it, here's the thing. That's a really classic example of something that's not important. What is it? Important, urgent. Well, anyway, it's something that will end up moving to the important category on its own if you don't just take care of it, in your 80% time, basically the time that you're taking care of the details. Don't time block it into your most important part of your day. Time block it into that chunk of your day where you take care of other crap in your life. And you either take care of the other crap or take it off your list. I don't know if you've ever seen the to-do list. Either do it, delete it, or delegate it, period. Now, it doesn't mean you have to do it that minute, but it means you need to do it. So you need to go, okay, I've got a time block of an hour. I've got that white space right before it too. So if I don't have anything else going, I want to jump into the crap that I just got to get done. I got to take the dry cleaning because I need clean clothes. At some point, if you don't do your laundry, now all of a sudden it becomes urgent, but it's only urgent because you didn't take care of it when it's important, or it's not even really that important, but it became important and then it became urgent only because you neglected it. Does that make sense? So it's really easy to avoid things. And I guess I'll just say this, if you do that in enough areas of your life, now your life will run you, and you're not running your life anymore. You're not controlling your time anymore, because you've let everything kind of drive into, like, you don't get gas in your car, guess what? You run out of gas. Now, guess what? That's disrupted your day because you got to figure out how to walk to the nearest gas station, or call Uber or whatever, get delivered gas delivered. That was because you chose not to plan and prioritize. I drive a lot. I got to jump out and run to a meeting. I got to show a house. I got to meet somebody that's, a coaching client right away because it all of a sudden works in their schedule, or all of a sudden I had a meeting run long and I need to go pick up the kids. Guess what? If I keep my car between half and full all the time, I never am running out of gas on accident ever. And if I don't, then I'm like, get in the car and I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm totally late because I didn't fill it. So now I'm actually almost out of gas. So now my first priority is going to the gas station, not going to the appointment. See what happens? So you guys can work that stuff out. And that's why it's important. If you don't lead generate, you won't have business. So then it's important. And it actually is, I would say it's urgent, but it is urgent that you do it, or it becomes urgent because you don't need money, right? That's the problem, it's one of those things, So anyway, didn't have any questions on how to prioritize that other than I really need help with that, because I get that, and let's get you help through coaches, whatever. I challenge you to engage in that. Are you guys tracking with all that? I mean, there's a little, I would say, if I can give you homework, please work on this for yourself. Again, it's not for me, it's for you. If you want to succeed, take that list on page 50 and fill it out, and then review it with your coach, and then see what they think, review it with another friend, and just for fun, review it with somebody that's successful in business and say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about my prioritization? And see what they say, just an idea. Let's jump to page 51. It talks about, I would say this, how about Julie, can you read the truth on page 51? If you have it.
I got to unmute. The truth. Okay. Truth. Successful agents plan their days and stick to their plan. In Ignite, you'll get into the habit of planning for the critical tasks each day, and you'll schedule activities that generate revenue first, and schedule those that maintain your business second.
Yeah. Is that based? So like we just talked about time blocking, would anybody disagree with that? Or does that feel uncomfortable to anybody? It's simple. It isn't even that hard, yet it takes discipline. It takes being intentional. I like the word intentional because that's what it is. You have to say it's important. You have to see that it's important that you're going to plan your day. Again, don't plan every second with some kind of productive task. Plan a successful day that gives you these blocks of time. And within those blocks of time, you've got maintenance for your business in there. You've got, generating revenue. Do you have to now, as a newer agent or wherever you're on your business, if you're taking Ignite, you're likely not at the point where you're delegating this, but maintaining your business, you can delegate that. You could do that now. I've had a transaction coordinator at times, even in my business, when I, by the numbers, wasn't affording it from the standpoint of like, I should be doing it myself. Yet I needed to leverage myself for other things in my life. I hire somebody to do the lawn not now, because I'm actually really enjoying it, but at times in my life when I just I love doing it because I like how it looks, but I just don't have time. It becomes a maintenance issue that it doesn't make sense for me to time block in. Does that make sense to you guys? Like, as Gary Keller calls it, find those areas of your life where you can buy some life back. If you're at a point in your finances where whatever that is for you, you're like, I'm okay making $50,000 a year if I'm only working 10 hours a day or 10 hours a week. Mm-hmm. Good on you. That's a good return on your investment potentially. So what I'm just saying is keep that in mind as you are, looking at where you can delegate parts of your life, and look at how you focus and generate revenue, generate what you need to generate in order to keep your life moving forward as a priority. And then if you have to delegate out the maintenance, that's okay. So what I'm going to say here for the page 52, the bottom of that is it shows you a little schedule there, kind of what are ways to have a successful day. I would challenge you guys to look at, actually, here's my request. I want each of you to take that schedule and review it with your coach or your team leader if you don't have a coach, whoever your coaching person is, and make come up with a schedule that fits you. Look at what's on there, look at the priorities that are on there. And for me, I can't follow that schedule right now with my life. But what I can do is I can look at what's important in that, and I can make a schedule that fits, that makes those things happen. Does that make sense to all of you guys? So can I ask you guys all to do that by the end of the week? Would that be okay? If you guys
Are you talking about the schedule on page 52?
52, yeah. 52, 53. Well, really it's 52, 53, 54. It's talking about your calendar and how you live your life. Take the blank one that they talk about completed. What I'm saying is look at it and say, okay, getting up, whatever, you know what I'm saying, right? Look at that and say, hey, yeah, I can do exactly that. Great, done. Or say, I need to modify that for my life and what's going on. Is that fair? You guys got that? Okay. Let's jump down to the last sections here. Really what I think is, what we talk about is how to basically a success through accountability. Like I talked about before, right? Nothing's going to happen if we're not accountable to the systems that help us get there, right? We all agreed to that. So on page 57, he talks about who will hold you accountable. You all told me, I think in the beginning, that you all have some sort of coach, right? That's fair? That's right, correct? Okay. So partners in success, personal accountability, those are two other areas. Partners in success, those can be a couple different things, really. What I find is having a peer that you can feel comfortable being accountable to, and I do with both friends and my kids, celebrate wins. Call up, whatever, Julie, call up Trevor and say, I made my 10 calls today. It felt really good. Or, I just want to share a win. Boom, gone, done. I'm off the call, or whatever, text, you know what I'm saying? Like, find somebody that you guys can connect with where you can share in your successes and build on that, and just say, right on, brother, way to go. Or, hey, good job getting that done. Like, hey, I know, Vanessa, you've really struggled with getting the 10 in. Good job getting in 12 today. Right on, whatever that is, success builds on itself. So if you guys can support each other in success, that's a natural accountability that builds positive momentum. I don't know about you guys, but what I've seen from the psychology behind it is, for this type of work, there's the carrot and the stick, right? The stick method of just beating on us doesn't work for this type of work. To push all of us to push past this stuff, it doesn't work. There is the stick of, I need to pay my bills. Okay. But that's also really a carrot. That's a why. I want to be able to feed my family, and it feels good to me to be able to, whatever that is. That doesn't have to be a stick, it can be more of a carrot approach. So find success, do that. And then the personal accountability, you have to, you guys know, we talked about that before. There are lots of other ways you can get really good at what you're doing. It has someone here listed here in the MAPS coaching. Language of sales is what I was talking about, intentional dialogues. That's what basically, it's all the tools to be really intentional and be really successful with that. So and then there's other ones, farming down. Those are just, getting down to there's a couple of some rules here for accountability. They give you in the page 58, they give you some tools or rules. I call them tools for accountability partners. Bottom line is, if it's going to be helpful, you're not helping the other person if you're just giving them like a free pass all the time, really. Now, find a way to communicate with your accountability partner. I already challenged you guys to find one. Find one or find two or three, ideally. Have you ever heard this? So a rope or a strand is actually much stronger with, two or more than one, of course. But when you get into three or more, I don't know if you look at study the physics of it. It's not 3 times stronger. It's actually more than 3 times stronger. Physically, a rope is actually literally exponentially stronger with each strand you add. It actually gets the strength curve grows, and it's true of human relationships. Accountability with other people is just human relationships. If I'm accountable to Lauren and Courtney, and I'm, and Courtney's sick, now at least I have Lauren. But if the 3 of us are accountable, and then or if the 2 of us are accountable and then one doesn't show, now the other person's just left hanging. Does that make sense? So at least find a partner, ideally find a couple people, and you guys will be much more successful around that. All right. Really, at the end of the day, we want you guys to be successful. So if we jump down to 61, You know, I mean, we says agreement of expectations. I'm asking as on behalf of all of us for you guys to agree to want to journey with us together to be successful, right? I mean, don't you guys want to be successful? You do want to be successful, don't you? Yes. Nod your heads like you are. Thank you.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
So on page 61, it says right here, choose to be as successful as possible and commit to the following covenants. I commit to attending all, I would have you guys read these out loud, but that would be crazy if we were in person, I would do that. Commit to attending all Ignite sessions. I know life happens. Here's what I want from you guys. I really want you guys to be here for these Ignite sessions. And not for me or not for whoever's teaching the next one or whoever the next one, I'll be on some of these as well, but for yourself, like be accountable. Here's the thing, again, you're doing it for yourself. So like say self, Daisy says to myself, I want to be there because I actually want to succeed at this. And me not showing up is telling myself that I don't want to be successful. So I'm showing up because I want to be successful. I'm going to keep myself accountable to being successful, right? Life happens. I want you challenge you guys to plan so that life doesn't happen to you and you can still be on these calls. And if you can't, I want to ask that you commit to your coach and give them a specific time that you're going to go back and listen to it, like that within the 24 hours, ideally, of when it was done live or when it comes on, because I know it doesn't come on immediately recorded. All right, can you guys commit to that? Is that everybody give me a nod? Good. Adding to my database. So we talked about that earlier. You need to commit to yourself more than even to me that you are that I'm running over also, but you need to commit to yourself more than anybody that you need to add to your database, or at the end of the day, you won't have any business. Does everybody here want a business that's successful? Okay, so you just have committed to adding to your database. Otherwise, you won't have a business that's thriving, right? And along with that, lead generation and making calls. So I want you guys all to nod that you are going to do these tasks, that you're going to commit to those things so that you are successful. Is everybody going to commit to all these things on this list? Okay. Ideally, I would like you guys to fill this out, print it out sometime this week, send it into your coach and talk to them about it. Talk to them about the areas that you are writing, I'm committed to this and this is challenging for me. Okay. Not I'm committed to this, but I didn't say, so that's a language, that's a dialogue. It's an intentional dialogue. I use the word and, I use the word yet. I didn't use the word but. Get the word but out of your dialogue, right? That's a script. Not using the word but as a script. But you know what? We don't have to call it a script. We just know that it's effective. It's more effective to say the word and, it's more effective to say the word yet. I don't have to label it a script and feel weird about it. I can just use it. I can just dialogue with you guys in a way that's effective, right? You agree, So I want you to take that, print it out, talk to your coach about it. Any area that's really challenging for you, say, I'm committed to this and I'm having a challenge with this. Can you help me with this? That's my commitment, what I ask of you guys. Is that good? Are you guys good with that?
Yes.
And then on page 63, it also talks about getting commitment from the people that are important in your life that are supporting you. I will tell you that this is challenging. And again, I would ask that you get commitment from them and talk to your coach about it. If you're having a challenge with that, or you have a challenging family situation, it's okay. Like, we are here to help. So talk to them about that and say, hey, can you help me figure out a schedule that works around my new baby? Can you help me schedule whatever that is? Let us help you. Is that all right? You guys good with that? We want to help. So that's really it. I mean, at the end of this is more just like accountability to showing up and making it happen. I would love for you guys to complete the action plan on page 65, because that's not for me, but for yourself. Turn that into your coach. And again, really fill these things out and meet with your coach about it. Honestly, if you can do that over the next week or two, all you're doing is saying, I want to be successful, really. And if you don't do it, you're just saying, well, I'm going to sort of ho-hum about my success. I mean, truly, that's what you're doing. And it's for yourself,
What is the mission for each power session of Ignite?
Yeah. Okay. So the idea was that if you go online, you'll see it's basically giving you in the thing there, it gives you, it's almost like a checklist. Like, here's the things you need to do to mentally be prepared for the next one, to have your head in the right space, Where do you want to be for the next session so that you're mentally ramped up for that. Yeah, I think that's right, Lauren. Yeah, that's the idea. I'll be honest, I haven't gone on and looked at it in a while. So says right there, go on KW Connect and from the Ignite class. And, and some of that stuff, you'll find that, I've done that. I got my eEdge account. So some of these things, activate eEdge profile. Actually, what it's talking about is a lot of this is your Keller Williams WolfNet IDX setup. That's outdated, but it's anything that you don't know what it is, ask. But most of this stuff is just you getting back into command, really, is what it's all called now. And setting up your profile, making sure you have your email rolling, make sure you have that you're not, so-and-so like loves bees at yahoo.com. Have you guys, if you haven't already set up a professional sounding email, which is basically just your name at a normal email address, that would be, ask me about it. You don't get too caught up on it, but I think it's important,
So for me, one of my big, what do you call it? The negative self-talk thing.
Yeah.
Is around technology, because I'm old. And it's always been actually a struggling point for me. And so when I get this and it's not accurate, it freaks me out.
Yeah.
So I want an updated one of these. So I know I've done it because I get really confused. Like for instance, I'm having a hard time connecting all my different apps so that they work together, so that I'm getting my contacts over here and my calendar stuff is going to the right place, and the stuff on my phone and the stuff on my computer. So I would like to have like a path that would at least smooth that out.
Sure. What office are you out of?
Eugene.
Okay. I know they have, Daisy, do you know, but I know that every office is supposed to have a technology person, even within network, there's supposed to be people that you should be able to just reach out to and say, I need help with these things. And their job is to help you with those things. I guess.
Yeah, we do. His name is Brian.
Yeah.
We have a technology person who's great, and I've talked with him multiple times, but there's not always a connect between the classes and our coach and the technology person. But I think because command is new for a lot of people.
Yep.
So the technology person's saying this and the coach is saying that. And I'm having a lot of crossover. And this could just be fixed someplace out there in Keller Williams land so that it lands easier upon me. I would so appreciate that.
I totally hear what you're saying, Lauren. And I agree, as it's been, like whenever we have growth or new things coming out, how it is, it's painful. Right. I'm sorry you're experiencing it that way. And it is real. You're right. Best I can do is encourage you to reach out to, just have a conversation. So ultimately, I think it's your coach. Say, help me figure out how to figure this out. Because at the end of the day, I'm just not like whatever, there's a disconnect, and maybe they can help connect you with the right people, or talk to your team leader or MCA. Sometimes the MCAs in the office are quite knowledgeable. I've known the market center administrator. Some of the offices, depends on where you're at, but you can always reach out and ask, and just try to get help, and ask your fellow agents in the office. And I hate to kind of punt it in that sense, but
people are very helpful. It's not that. It's that I would prefer to have just the information so I can do it when I want to,
Yeah, no, I got you. I don't know that we can fix it back in right now, but thank you for calling that out. I appreciate that you're trying to make it better for all of us too. So anybody else have any other questions? Or I'm curious about Vanessa's steering wheel cover right now, but the coolest steering wheel cover ever.
It is like the softest thing ever. It's softer than my cat. So.
Oh my gosh. Never a cold hand on a cold day. Anybody else though? Is there anything, I can help you with? We're at the end of your requirement to be here, but I'm happy to hang out and answer questions. Or if I jumped over something that you wanted to jump back to, let me know. Just holler.
If I can make one slight little comment, I did put in the comments my information. I am open to get with anybody. I am new to the Salem area, new to real estate, all that stuff. So if anyone wants to hit me up, I am more than happy to connect with anybody. Like, we can be our own cheer squad, and we can motivate each other and compare notes. I'd love that.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Vanessa, I just texted you, so you should get my text.
Perfect. I just got it.
Let's do this.
Yeah, that's really great. I love that. I love that you guys are, yeah. I mean, that's really, I mean, that's all of us want to see each other succeed. I think I can agree, right? I mean, you guys can agree, you know, everybody here wants to see the rest of us succeed. So we can do it. Is there anything you guys want any help on, or I don't want to, I mean, you are free to go, and I'm willing to hang out for a little bit. So.
I'd just like to say thank you, Eric. And it's been a great course. I came in late on my first Ignite a couple weeks in. And the second Ignite, of course, I went through all of that. So I don't even need to be here really realistically, but I wanted to drop in and see what I couldn't cull from it. And honestly, the second Ignite I took, every class was a little bit different, and I gleaned a little bit more from what I did get from the first Ignite, and then the second Ignite all the way through. Every class has just been a little bit different. I've been able to glean a little bit more, and then reigniting just now and going through this first basics all over again. It just re-solidifies everything. It's great how Keller Williams is pretty thorough, and they ignite you and they throw everything right in the beginning here. This is really the game right here. You guys just went through this is the game right here. So today was like, you know, coaching game day kickoff, and you did a great job, I want to say. So
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
You figured I've been through quite a few, you know, now. And so I think I'm just going to keep on and gleaning what I can from these. And, you know, I've got a lot of this already filled out in my book, my goals, my why. I've already done all this, but going back and just, it's great motivation for, you know, a new agent. So I'm now 5 months in, and I've gained a little traction, and, you know, I've had some great interactions, and closed a first deal, which was through a partner in KW. And so after having gone at things really hard for kind of a long time, since maybe the first of the year, I took a couple weeks off about a week or two ago, and just kind of took couple weeks off. And also this summer, I spent some time just, you know, spending time with my family and not just devoting everything to starting this business. And I tried to enjoy myself along the way, essentially, without just, you know, so it's been really great, honestly, the timing of these Ignite meetings, everything. So
Nice.
yeah, even though I'm 5 months in, I'm kind of still shooting for the first of the year, you know, so
Good.
Yeah, thank you again.
Good. Was this reinvigorating based on you've experienced, you've heard it before, you went out and you did these things, now you come back and you hear it again. Are you like, yeah, I see why it's valuable to do this and do that? And would you say?
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Cool. Well, good. Glad to hear that. That's the goal. If it's not useful, I want to change it and make it useful for you guys, you know, that's the goal.
Yeah. And what I'd say too, if anybody has any questions, just to reach out to Mara or Aaron or Eric here. They've been more than helpful, as well as Tom Dye. You know, any questions you have, other agents in the program. Scripps has been great. You know,
cool.
I just get more and more out of each one. I know it might sound a little redundant taking Ignite for the third time, you know, but I did miss the beginning of the first one. And so it's just been great. Even just the little bit I gleaned from today, I've been working the whole time too, but just what I've been gleaning along the way through, it's just been great. So.
Thank you. Yeah. Cool. Well, good. Anybody else have you've got me for a little bit if you have any random questions about stuff, or if you want to dig down on your why in front of everybody else, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you, Eric. See you next time. I don't know.
Sounds good.
Not tomorrow, but next time. Thank you.
You bet.
I sent you a message, Lauren. Should email me.
When do we get to see you again?
Me?
Yes.
I'm for sure doing Let's see here. Well, I think in a few weeks I'm doing kind of winning with buyers and another negotiations class, which I like because those are kind of expectations and how you win. I may jump in on some of these other ones. Those are for sure ones I'm teaching. I think I might teach the wrap up. Depends on, we're talking about, where we're at on that. Who's doing what, but yeah, this one I'm particularly excited and passionate about because we touch on all these these areas that are, you could probably tell from my communicating about it, I'm passionate about you guys succeeding, and I feel like these are all the fundamental building blocks of you guys succeeding. So it's exciting for me to invest in you guys in this way. I love it. Yeah, so I'm here for you. Thank you guys. I'll let you go. Have a good rest of your day. Cheers.